Prices in the third quarter of 2022 were 17% higher than a year previously, compared to a rise of 11% seen a year ago. There's been a 90% increase in new builds in the county, with 74 new homes being built in the past year. A one-bedroom apartment costs on average €80,000, an increase of 29.1%, while a two-bed terrace house costs around €99,000, a rise of 22.7%. The cost of a three-bed semi-detached has increased by 18% to €136,000, while a four-bed bungalow will cost around €243,000, an increase of 7.7%. The price of a five-bed detached house is now costing around €246,000, up 10.5% on last year.
To weather now, dry with some sunny spells for most of today, though there will be isolated light showers, cool and breezy with highs of 12 to 14 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with an update again at 10 o'clock, but until then, good morning.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers making nursing home payments, for themselves or on behalf of a loved one, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. For more vulnerable customers who need extra assistance, please call our vulnerable customer line on 1800 656 001. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Very good morning to you. It's the 9 Noon Show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on the programme until 12 noon today. We have a packed programme as always, but as we always tell you, at the heart of this programme is your perspectives, your views, your priorities, and if you want to share those with us, you can contact us on 086 60 25,000. Call us on 074 91 25,000. We have Caroline producing and taking your calls, and Donna Marie taking calls as well. You can also use that text number, by the way, for WhatsApp messages, so the 086 60 25,000 number is good for WhatsApp as well. You can email us comments at highlandradio.com, or you can use social media. It's at Highland Radio on Twitter, and it's Highland Hub on Facebook, and of course we are broadcasting online on our Facebook and YouTube channels. You can watch the programme as it unfolds on those two particular networks as well. We begin with our look at the papers, and as it's a Monday, we begin with the Monday edition of the Donegal News. The main headline: grief-stricken, father and daughter laid to rest. The devastated family of a father and daughter who died within hours of each other paid a heartfelt tribute to them at their joint funeral on Saturday. Newton Cunningham came to a standstill for the funeral of Patrick Devaney and his daughter Margaret Sullivan, and as you may well know, Brendan Devaney, Patrick's son, Margaret's brother, is the presenter of the DL debate here on Highland Radio. Would normally have been on the programme on a Monday. Obviously Brendan won't be here today, and the thoughts of ourselves on the programme, and indeed all of us on Highland Radio, are with Brendan and the wider Devaney and Sullivan families. Also on the front of the Donegal News this morning, huge Donegal numbers at cost of living protest in Dublin. Micah homeowners from Donegal were among the thousands who took part in the cost of living protest in the capital at the weekend, and you may well have heard Deputy Thomas Pringle on the news earlier on with Emma giving his view of that particular protest. He sees it as having been a major success. Derry News this morning: Derry has the highest percentage of residents identifying as Irish only. There's a call for the Irish Government to convene a citizens' assembly on Irish unity. Catherine McGinty and Liam Tunney reporting there. A coordinated call for the Irish Government to convene a citizens' assembly on Irish unity appears to have been strengthened by the publication of Census 2021 figures for the North, most notably perhaps the data from the Derry City and Strabane district. It found 53.81 identifying as Irish only in the district, 17.46 British only. Now, if I recall reading the figures correctly when I saw them last week, I think right across Northern Ireland, the Irish only figure was in and around about the 39%, while the British only figure was about 42%. So right across Northern Ireland, it's not as clear cut perhaps as the article might suggest, and it's one of those issues that's going to go on and on. Interesting article by Eilish O'Hanlon on the Sunday Independent yesterday about it, where she asked the question, is this going to make a difference, the various figures that came out of that census, and her view appeared to be not really. Irish Independent this morning as we move to the nationals. Free books, smaller classes on way for primary schools. Funding to put thousands of extra pupils on buses also expected in historic budget move. All primary pupils will get free school books every year from next September in a historic move to eliminate this annual cost for parents. Now, it's interesting that whereas a lot of the discussion is about families who are under particular pressure, what we seem to be seeing, in fact, is a situation where the measures being announced are right across the board. So maybe there'll be questions asked about that. I don't know, but it does seem that whereas what seems to be called for by many people is targeted initiatives and targeted strategies, what we're seeing is across the board blunt instruments where everyone gets the particular payment or gets the particular benefit. Also, arrival of two new pensions giants to shake up the market. The pensions market here is set for a major shake up after two big international providers said they plan to launch retirement products in this country, the first new products for years. They're going to put existing players, particularly Irish Life, under pressure, so says that article on the front of today's Independent. Now, looking at the Irish Times this morning, budget boost for parents of young children. Again, the free school books at primary level and 20% cut to childcare fees on the cards. That's according to the paper there. And also, Goodman Group uses Dutch company to cut tax bill. Arthur Beasley writes that Larry Goodman's beef empire has used tax adjustments in a little-known Dutch company to reduce its overall tax bill by passing loans for hundreds of millions of euro between different arms of his business in Ireland and the Netherlands, so the Irish Times has learned. And also we have on the front of the Times this morning, skydiver in freefall. A really good picture actually of skydiver John Dodd from Hampshire freefalling from a hot air balloon. And the picture at Burr in County Offaly, the picture is taken from the balloon looking down, and it's a really, really interesting picture, and it's taken what looks like Burr Castle underneath it, and I actually spent a bit of time in Burr Castle last year on a COVID holiday within the country, and it was an absolutely fascinating spot. Actually really, really liked it. Irish Daily Mail this morning, school books to be free in budget boost. That's a headline that's common across all of the papers, I think, this morning in terms of the nationals. Irish Daily Star, stolen car rampage driver charged. A man is to appear in court today after going on a rampage through a town in a stolen car. The suspect rams into other cars and injured a bystander as he careered through Fermoy in County Cork in front of shocked onlookers. And also on the side of the Star, a story on budget bailout for hard-pressed families. Again, Irish Daily Mirror, it's that same story from Fermoy. Car ram terror, man due in court. Bystander who tried to intervene hurt as shocked kids looked on. And the front of the Irish Sun, McGregor KO'd by knotweed. Conor McGregor's plan to erect a block of built-to-rent flats might be nipped in the bud by giant weeds. The UFC star's €19 million Dublin site is riddled with pesky Japanese knotweed. Dublin City Council want him to tame the invasive plant before work continues. Now, we know that there's quite a bit of work actually going on in Inishowen to get natural remedies to Japanese knotweed. Perhaps we might be able to get a bit of a match going and get Conor McGregor in touch with the people in Inishowen who are working on this, and perhaps we can bring some cheer. That's the way that the papers are looking on this bright and breezy Monday morning. I say bright and breezy. It is nice and bright, and it is a bit breezy, but it was quite breezy earlier on, actually, out walking the streets at an unearthly hour. But that's the way things are looking on the papers this morning. We're going to take a short break. Back in just a moment.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Gear up for the club championship at Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, where you'll find all the essentials to carry you through the season. Shop the full range of O'Neill's Morn shorts, socks and Sassoon mouthguards, and get the new Michael Murphy Ghost gloves with enhanced grip from just €15. Shop in-store or get free next day nationwide delivery when you spend €85 online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Sabrina Robb here from Donegal Hearing Clinic. If you're struggling to hear everyday conversations or find it difficult to understand people in a crowded room, you may have hearing loss. Problems like these are common, and we're used to helping people resolve them. We offer hearing assessments and will discuss your options. You can call us on 074 91 88 470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara, and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car in both new and used. Call into us in Letterkenny or Malin to find out why the Sportage is a Donegal favourite. Take a test drive today and you won't be disappointed.
Join the Highland Roadshow from 11:30 until 2 this Thursday, September 29th, as we team up with Bus Éireann to celebrate their customer day at the Letterkenny bus station. We have a cracking music mix and some great merchandise to give away on the day. That's the Highland Roadshow this Thursday morning from 11:30 at the Letterkenny bus station.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. You may have heard in the news on Friday and over the weekend that a new government initiative will see the introduction of paid leave for victims of domestic violence once a new bill, which has been published, is voted into law. Those who are suffering from or at risk of domestic violence will be entitled to 5 days of paid leave per year. Now, we're joined on Zoom by Dr. Marie Hainsworth, who's the manager of Donegal Domestic Violence. Dr. Marie, good morning.
Morning, Donal. How are you doing?
Very well indeed, thank you. In terms of this legislation, what's your take? Does this answer a pressing need that's out there? Does it go far enough?
It's the start, definitely. I know it's something that Women's Aid have been calling for quite a long time. I think it is in the UK, possibly coming into Northern Ireland as well. The difference with it is that at the moment people are having to use ordinary leave. Often if a domestic violence incident happens, a family have to uproot, they have to move, they have to go to court. So there's quite a bit of a time requirement by victims that isn't always able to be facilitated by the workplace at the moment, because people are having to use sick leave or they're having to use annual leave. And the difference with this particular type of leave is that it's immediate. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks, so you don't have to apply for the leave and then it's dependent on whether somebody else is off or whether shifts can be covered. It's kind of like it's an immediate need and it can be met, which often is what's required. So yes, definitely for clients that we work with and certainly those that are having to look for accommodation or look for legal support, this kind of leave could make a big difference.
There are going to be sensitivities in how this is notified and how this is managed, because I can well imagine somebody might be reticent about phoning their employer and saying, I am in this situation. It's something that many people would be reticent about talking about. They don't want to talk about it. And that's going to add, I won't use the word complication because it's the wrong word, but that's going to add an extra sensitivity to applying for this leave, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think it can add to the stress if it's not handled right. Alongside the legislation, what there should be is the option then for employers to be able to provide training or to be provided with training. So often in a workplace domestic violence policy, you would have a dedicated person who is the link, the go-to person, if you like. And they've had training, they have that sensitivity. There might be somebody that the employee has trust and can talk to. And then it's just up to them to pass on to management, this leave is being accessed and they'll be back on whatever date, So what we're hoping to do is, or what we would hope that the government would be supporting to happen, is that not just to introduce the legislation, but also to introduce the training, the backup and the support that goes alongside it. Otherwise, like you said, people are going to be very reluctant. It's going to be a lot easier just to phone in sick. Or maybe not do the things that need to be done, not go to court, not to actually look to leave the situation and drag it out for longer, hoping that things will resolve. So, yeah, it has to be a package. That's what we're looking for now, to see whether that's being offered as well.
In terms of the response of employers, the noises that are coming from people like ISME, people like IBEC, those who will be employers, they appear to be positive enough at the beginning of the process at least.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I know, yes, it's another leave that employers are paying, but as I said, most employers are kind of paying it anyway, but through other channels. And oftentimes, if you're an employer and you don't actually know why your employee is taking time off, it's harder to manage, where at least this way you're getting a bit full of a picture. It's an immediate need. When the person's coming back, the situation that's going on. I mean, in the same legislation, they're also introducing leave for carers and for parents to take time off with children who are sick. So all of these tend to be things that are taken fundamentally as part of sick leave. And it doesn't really give an employer any idea of what's going on. It doesn't give them much scope to kind of plan for things. And there are different types of leave. So I think it's important, that the government gets a picture of where people are taking time off and what it's for, but also that employers know what's happening with their employees and can plan better. A generic sick leave is not really telling an employer very much.
A really important element of this whole process is going to be confidentiality, because going back to one of the earlier questions, I mean, if a conversation takes place between a woman who finds herself in that situation and an employer, the last thing they're obviously going to want to do is for that to become a topic of conversation in the workplace. And, there's going to be natural conversations in a staff room, oh, where's such and such? And it's going to have to be very carefully managed by the employer how those conversations go, because people will want confidentiality and will feel very threatened if they don't have it.
Absolutely. And it's the same way, if an employee is sick or, whatever the reasons are for taking time off, it has to be done respectfully. And that's where I think the training comes in terms of your HR management within the organisation, and why it might be better to just allocate somebody with those particular skills to be able to work with the person. So all of that kind of has to be thought through by employers. It's not just a case of, you can take that leave, off you go, but not think about the consequences, because the consequences can also be dangerous if you're informing people, and also informing people that they're not in the workplace, because often abusers will track victims as soon as the situation's happened. And if they realise that they're not in the workplace, they might be asking around to find out where that person is. So, there's a whole safety element as well that goes alongside this that employers need to be aware of.
Obviously, we're at the beginning of the process. Legislation has been published. Now, there can be many a slip twixt cup and lip when it comes to actually getting legislation through the Dáil committee stage, the Shannon back to the Dáil, and ultimately signed into law by the President and then implemented. And it's going to take some time for this to go through the system. Important in the meantime that we have conversations about those issues like training, that we have conversations to make sure that when this law comes in, it comes in properly phrased, properly framed, and ready to be implemented successfully.
Absolutely. It's a bit like the remote working policy, it needs to have time to be worked through. Organisations need time to think about how it will actually work for them. Can companies combine together, with skills and resources, or do training together? There's all of those aspects, and obviously services like ourselves should be brought in to be able to do training and give that support, but all of that needs time. So start thinking about it now. It is coming down the line. It's very much a European kind of led initiative, in the sense that a lot of other countries are doing it at this stage. So it is a direction we will be going in, but it's how do we manage it and how do we make sure that it works effectively.
And obviously, in terms of committee stage, various organisations will be invited in to give evidence at committee stage and make contributions to this particular legislation. Would you like to be there yourself to give your tuppence worth to those who are framing the law?
Oh, I always like to be invited to things like that, but usually it's the bigger organisations up in Dublin. But I think they should be listening, in particular to rural areas, because I think the needs of rural employees is probably different. And I think particularly in small communities, the issues around confidentiality that you've mentioned are going to be hugely different. So in terms of the consultations, I think they should be looking to organisations that have links into rural areas, as well as just focusing on the urban issues.
In terms of this actually becoming law, being implemented and becoming a reality, we're talking probably a time frame of minimum 1 year and possibly longer. What sense are you getting with regards to how long it's going to take this to go through the system?
To be honest, I've no idea at the moment, with everything that's going on and the focus on budgets and everything else. It could be one of those things that gets slipped through because most of it is kind of in place, or it could be something that just puts on the back burner. It depends as well on the lobby groups and the pressure that's put onto government. So I think anybody involved that's affected by this legislation, and that does include carers, parents, families generally, anybody working in any of those sectors, needs to put pressure on the government to make sure that it doesn't drop off now. They've made the announcement, everybody assumes the legislation's there. They can kind of then stall for quite a while. And I think local politicians should be, linking in with services and making it a priority for our area in particular.
Dr. Maria Hainsworth, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. We will watch this one with interest and track it as it goes through the various stages in Leinster House. But for the moment, at least, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Bye
Thank
now.
you. That's Dr. Maria Hainsworth there speaking to us on Zoom. And as we said, that legislation was published last week and it is now about to go through the whole system. And we'll see how that pans out over the coming weeks and months. As Dr. Marie said there, hopefully we'll get to a situation where it can go through the Dáil relatively speedily. Now, let's change tack. One of the big issues of discussion over the past number of months has been the use of turf and turf cutting in general, and a perception in rural areas that the tradition of turf cutting is very much under siege, mainly from Minister Eamon Ryan and others in government. Now, we are joined on Zoom by Councillor John Hamish O'Farry, who is a member of Donegal County Council, and he has a motion indeed for consideration at today's meeting of Donegal County Council that gets underway in just over an hour and a half's time. Councillor John Hamish, imagine you well.
Imagine why, Donal, and how are you?
Very well indeed, thank you. John Hamish, in terms of your motion today, you're going to be delivering a very clear message to Donegal County Council. You want the council to look Minister Eamon Ryan in the eye and say hands off our turf.
Exactly. That is what I'm bringing this motion to the council to, and it's calling on the minister to abandon his criminalisation and the policy on our turf cutter population. Over the last number of weeks, and there was a ban since the 1st of September. A number of people have contacted me, elderly people, in relation to this, and they can't seem to, people that were providing turf last year and previous years for them, that they're frightened to contact these people, and they're informed that they can't sell any turf to them. And again, this might be the only source of warming their homes, which is turf, and it's a cheap fossil fuel as well, compared to when you see the oil prices and gas prices escalating, and the coal prices, which has escalated over the last year, huge prices, and people just can't afford it. And again, there seems to be nothing coming from the government to replace such things as warming their houses for old people, for solar paneling and all this schemes that they have. But out there, it's going to be a severe winter for older people and people that were depending on the turf. And again, criminalising the turf cutters that are providing these, that they can't sell or distribute turf to these people that depend on it.
And the reality of it is that, we're not talking about big, huge companies who are raking in tens of thousands of euro a week. We're in the main, particularly in West Donegal in your own area, we're in the main talking about someone who has a bit of land on the bog, cuts the turf and perhaps sells a bit of turf to 15 or 20 neighbours and people who live in the vicinity.
Yes, well, probably neighbours don't have turbidity rights or don't cut bog. Probably they don't own it, like I said. But how are these meant to warm their homes now? Again, as I emphasised, the prices of fuel has escalated through the roof over the last year. And if you see tomorrow, there's a budget coming up, so it'll be interesting to see what the government implements in that budget in relation to this. But a tradition that's been West Donegal, I'm sure all over the county in Donegal, over the hundreds of years, warming their homes with turf, is now being criminalised.
I'm sure you're anticipating you'll get unanimous support from Donegal County Council today. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the case. Is this a motion you believe that's going to make any difference, though? Because what now happens is Donegal County Council passes the motion and the sentiment is expressed within Donegal up to Minister Eamon Ryan. The reality of it appears to be that Eamon Ryan hasn't engaged with others on this up to now. Do you think Donegal County Council's input at this point can make a difference?
I think it will, Donal. This is the way forward, taking my motion to the council today. There has been no negotiations with the turf cutters at all in relation to this, and it's just been implemented, which will have huge consequences on the ordinary people in Donegal, not alone the west of Donegal, but all over Donegal, as previously mentioned. Again, Minister Ryan, I don't think this is the proper way to go to criminalise the turf cutters here in West Donegal and all over Donegal. But again, like my motion, hopefully it'll highlight to Minister Ryan that this is not the way to progress, that more thinking needs to go into this, and in relation to the people that's depending on the turf, that they would be given a few years. I know we're on about climate change and this and that and fossil fuels, but again, we have targets set and all over Europe, and again, Ireland seems to be just implementing everything that's coming from Europe. I am totally for green energy, but in relation to the turf issue, I'm 100% behind the turf cutters on this and the turf producers, which will be a huge issue this winter, as I said, because again, I get a number of phone calls on a daily basis from people that can't avail of the turf because of the ban.
Well, there's comments coming into us, obviously, and typical of those comments is this one. I'm a widow. I depend on turf for heating. My brother cuts it, and he gives me a couple of bags to keep me going over the winter. I don't know what's going to happen if he is stopped from cutting turf, and I'm sure that's a sort of a sentiment and comment that reflects what you're getting daily as well.
Yes, exactly, and is he going to be criminalised as well? It's absolutely ludicrous that this policy is implemented without any discussion whatsoever.
In terms of the way council business goes, very often with a motion like this, the councillor moving the motion asks that motion then be distributed to other councils and it's sent on to other councils for their consideration as well. Is that something you'd like to see happen in this instance, assuming it's passed?
Oh yes, definitely. It's just not alone Donegal that's going to be affected with this all over the country, Cork, Galway, people that depend on rural areas. Not alone in West Donegal, but in Letterkenny, and I'm aware of a number of people that buy their turf and burn turf all year round. And like I said, hopefully now other councillors, if the motion is passed, which I'm pretty confident it will, that it will be forwarded to other councillors and municipal districts throughout the county and the country.
Councillor Johnny Hamish-O'Farrill, thank you very much indeed, and we wait with interest to see what happens with that motion when it's considered later on today at the plenary council meeting at the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. For the moment, Councillor Johnny Hamish, thank you.
Good morning, Donal. Martin White.
That's Councillor Johnny Hamish-O'Farrill there speaking to us from West Donegal, and that issue up for discussion. As we said at today's meeting, it's the plenary monthly meeting of Donegal County Council taking place in the Ora Leisure Centre in Letterkenny. This is Highland Radio. It's the 9 till noon show. It's 9:30. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Declutter this summer with Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. Inflation-beating built-in wardrobe special offer. Get a 2-metre long wardrobe with 2 free mirrors built in for €1,099. Check us out online or book an appointment viewing in our Donegal Town showroom today on 07497 25822. Cherrymore. More bedrooms your way since 1996.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry and save up to 15% on over 1 million seats during the Loganair Big Summer Sale with promo code SUN15, including flights to Edinburgh and Liverpool.
Fly with me, I want to take you there, precious moments of this journey.
Book between 21st and 29th September inclusive at loganair.co.uk. Travel from 24th of October, subject to availability.
Hegarty's Auto Body Repairs in Letterkenny have been keeping cars on the road across the northwest for the past 50 years. Hegarty's are the only Ford-approved body shop in the northwest, but repair all makes and models. paintless dent removal, windscreen replacement and restoration work. Hegarty's even mix their own paint. Approved by most insurance companies and certified Steel Standards Ireland. That's Hegarty's Auto Body, Letterkenny. For all vehicle repairs. See hegartys.com.
The Donegal Suffolk Sheep Breeders Show and Sale will take place this Friday, 30th of September at Reformart. The show is at 6 with the sale at 7:30. Ram lambs, shearling rams and select females available with online bidding via the Mart Bid app.
Text 086 60 25,000.
We got an interesting letter from a listener headed Traffic Headache. The listener says the reopening of the schools has again added greatly to the ever-increasing traffic in and around Letterkenny town. For drivers entering the town via the Kilmacrennan Road, an unnecessary hazard is placed in their way in the form of two short lanes leading into the town, with the two lanes ending abruptly at the George Bowl roundabout. Traffic that had been on the fast lane must endeavour to manoeuvre onto the single lane. All of this leads to the annoyance of drivers who had used the slow lane. Having one lane inwards and one lane outwards would be much better than what's there now. Even better would be two lanes leading away from the town. All those familiar with the situation know, as things stand with the constant flow of traffic inwards on the fast lane, it's quite risky trying to overtake a slow-moving vehicle on that single lane outwards. With the situation as it is, getting into town can be very frustrating. A little bit of better planning could make a big difference. Now, I had an interesting conversation with someone quite recently, actually, because the George Bowl roundabout that Henry, our letter writing correspondent, refers to there is, I would say, 300, not even 300 yards from where I'm sitting. We are just the other side of that particular roundabout. And we see a line of traffic from that roundabout, the Calhame roundabout, the George Bowl roundabout, as it's now called, at Calhame, going right into Letterkenny. And there is just from about 5 past 10 past 8 in the morning, there is a line of traffic that appears to be almost immobile. I was reminiscing with someone several years ago. Let's go back to the mid to late 1990s. My wife and I had one car. She's working as a nurse in Letterkenny University Hospital. I'm working up here at the mountaintop in Letterkenny. We had two very young children, both at, shall we say, play school creche age, and we had one car. If I were working an early shift and she were working a later shift, I would drive to Highland Radio. I would do the morning shift. I would read the news at 8:30. I would get into the car. I would drive down to our home in Glencar in Letterkenny. She and the two children would get into the car. They would drive me back up to work, and then she would take the car, and she would have the car then for the day. And we were able to do that, and I would be back at work comfortably to start again at 9 o'clock to read a news bulletin. Now, I reckon if you got into a car here at Highland Radio now at 25 to 9 and tried to head down that road into Letterkenny town, if you made it as far as Primerica, I suspect you'd be doing very well indeed. It is crazy what's happened over the past while with the traffic in Letterkenny. And we know there is a study being undertaken of all the traffic in Letterkenny, and that's coming up very shortly. And we'll see what comes out of that. But yes, traffic in Letterkenny is one of those perennial issues and topics of discussion that's going to keep on, I think, being discussed. Let's go to line one. We're going to talk to Kathleen. Kathleen, good morning. You and congratulations on achieving a college place. But there's a big, huge sting in the tail here. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Sorry, can I say, do you pronounce Kathleen or Caitlin?
Caitlin.
Caitlin, I do apologise. I was just looking at the name there on the sheet, so we'll go Caitlin. But Caitlin, you have you've got a place in Maynooth, but you've actually found yourself in a situation where you're going to have to defer.
Yes. So I got my results this month, and I was very happy with it. I was then just given an offer, my round one offer for my first choice on CAO, which is entrepreneurship in Maynooth. And Maynooth is around 5 hours away by public transport. So me and my parents have been looking for accommodation since February. And it just got to the point where we couldn't find any just affordable accommodation that was kind of appropriate to the distance of campus, at all. So we had to make the decision to kind of allow me to defer for the next year. And I did get the deferral place in Maynooth.
And you've been quoted figures of €325 a week for accommodation.
Yes, that's just one of the figures that it was a private student village accommodation. It was more comfortable. It was more closer to campus. There was more supports for students there, like a gym membership and a laundromat on at the accommodation. But it was still just crazy expensive, and we couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Other options that I had were like digs that were still 40 minutes away from campus, so I still have to use transport to get there. But it was €1,000 per month, and that just left my parents in shock.
For digs. And when you say digs, what you effectively mean is you are getting a room in what can either be a family home or a shared house, and you then share a kitchen, you share a bathroom, and you share every other facilities. All you get privately to yourself is a room, a bed, and if you're lucky, a desk and a chair.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that was €1,000 a month.
Yeah.
That is crazy. It really is. I mean, and I think what you're saying to us here, and it's interesting to have this conversation because we read so much and we see so much, but I think when you actually hear someone give those figures themselves, that really, really brings it home. Caitlin, you're deferring to next year, and I do find I have to ask the question, what do you hope will change between 2022 and 2023? Because it could well be that we get to September 2023 and the prices are even higher. Or do you believe something's going to happen in the meantime to actually address this situation?
Well, the Union Students of Ireland have gotten a lot of protests going on right now, including they are looking for introduction to legislation to protect students in digs with their contracts. And also there is a on-campus walkout for all college students on October 13th. There has recently been a protest on the rise of cost of living. So there's a lot of actions, or I would say just efforts, trying to combat or just trying to give awareness about this crisis. And I would hope to see more purpose-built student accommodation built for students. I think that's the way forward. If anything, just more affordable and more supply of accommodation available there for students.
Now, Minister Simon Harris did indeed say that recently, who is the Minister with responsibility for third level education. He did say that, he was pushing digs big time, and he was pushing to people, if you have a spare room in your house, come forward. If I thought I could get €1,000, I'd be coming forward too. But I would put that frivolity aside. But Simon Harris was saying at the root of his belief is we'll try and do something temporary for this year, and then over the course of the next 12 months we'll build. The question is, knowing how long it can take to get building done and get everything through the process, what realistic chance is there that there'll be a comprehensive new block of student accommodation built near every college in the country by this time next year? I would contest it. It's not going to happen that fast.
Yeah, I believe I'm also the president of the Irish Second Level Students' Union, and what we see from students on the ground is that those who are in 6th year at the moment are not only going into their year full of stress and anxiety for the exams ahead, which is normal, but they're also with the added pressure of the accommodation crisis. And they are asking the question of, is it worth it to move out of my county for my dream course, or just stay in my county where there's a course available and I won't have to pay for accommodation. Other students are looking for UNICAS, which is Europe, or UCAS in UK, because they do have accommodation there and it's available for them. But it's just crazy high tuition in the UK. And so they're just looking for other options outside of Ireland, which is just unfair.
And as you say, certainly if someone wants to study something like computer science or something like that, absolutely, we have the Donegal ATU campus, which offers absolutely fantastic courses there. But if you're looking to do something very specialised, as is the case of the entrepreneurship course that you wanted to do in Maynooth, obviously that's not going to be available locally, so you don't have the option to stay local. And that puts you in a position where you have to move out of town. It also raises the question of those who perhaps are on SUSI grants. Whatever chance you might have had of grants from SUSI, the student grant, meeting those accommodation costs 5, 10, 15 years ago, it would seem if costs like that are being quoted, SUSI is not going to come anywhere near meeting the sort of accommodation costs being sought in some instances now. Caitlin, sorry, have I lost you?
Hello, sorry.
No, oh, that's grand.
Sorry, I couldn't get your last.
Oh no, I was
Sorry,
just saying,
yeah,
from the point of view of students who are dependent on student grants from Susie, it would seem that accommodation costs like that are going to be well out of the reach of those grants.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I'm a lucky position where I don't have Susie grant, and I'm not eligible for Susie grant. But in my position, if you had to defer, your Susie grant doesn't transfer to the next year. So it's put me or other students in a difficult situation there.
What do you intend to do for the year that you're going to be out? Will you try and get some work, or try and do some travel, or get some experience, or will you just continue with your work as you were, as you say, president of the second level students in Ireland? Will you continue that campaigning over the course of the next year?
Yes. So I as I said, I'm the Utron, or the president of the Irish Second Level Students Union. So I think a silver lining to all this is that I'll be able to dedicate my whole kind of capacity and more time to this role in advocating for students in second level education. I currently represent over 300,000 second level students in Ireland, with over 580. Sorry, we just got in another one there last week. So 580 member schools in Ireland, and so I'll be able to dedicate my whole time to fighting for their rights on a national level. I also with the year ahead, I'll be able to help my parents save up for accommodation for next year. Yeah. So benefit both me and my parents, and look for actual accommodation that is affordable and close enough to campus.
Caitlin Fementi, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. We wish you well in the year ahead, and I've no doubt you'll be a highly articulate and eloquent campaigner for those second level students, and we hope that you do get to take the course next year and all goes well in the future. But Caitlin, for now, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was absolutely our pleasure. That was Caitlin there. Caller says, sadly in Ireland, we've regressed to a point where only the wealthy will be able to get third level education. It's just disgraceful. And we're going back to a period that it would have been claimed we were at decades ago, where university was the privilege and the purview of the rich, and others basically had to go elsewhere. That, it appeared, had changed, and it would be an absolute shame if we were to return to a situation like that, where we didn't have genuinely universal third level education available. Another caller says, what's to be done for third level students and parents struggling to pay for them at college? I suspect that's a throwback to the stories we're getting about primary school and access to free school books and so on in primary schools. And a caller there saying, yeah, well, what about college? What about third level? That's a very serious situation, and indeed, as Caitlin's just pointed out, particularly if there's accommodation involved. €1,000 a month for a room in Diggs. I mean, that is an absolutely crazy price indeed. It's 14 minutes to 10. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband for just €29 a month, plus Sky Q for only €10 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband for €29 a month, plus Sky Q for €10 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Win €20,000 in the big Finn Harps Stadium draw. Yes, €20,000 in cash is the first prize, with 5 other great prizes also up for grabs. Tickets are only €20 or get 3 for €50 at finnharps.ie or from any club member.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman.
Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Experience the best of Oma's rich musical heritage through a weekend of music and events from Thursday 29th of September until Sunday the 2nd of October. Enjoy Oma Music Thrill, exhibition voices and stories from the show band era and Oma's trad folk. On Saturday 1st of October, presenting Oma show bands is Highland Radio's Frank Galligan. You'll hear authentic show band sounds from Dominic Kerwin and his band, Ray Moore, Frankie McBride, the Call Brothers, Tony Hutchinson and more. All complemented by a vintage tea dance on Sunday. For more tickets and details, log on to struelartcentre.co.uk.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
And it's Donal on the programme this morning on till 12 noon. Now, we're joined on the line by Deirdre. You'll be aware, if you're listening at all to radio and reading the papers, that Ulster Bank are closing and people are being urged to take steps to open accounts elsewhere. Deirdre is one of those affected by that. Deirdre, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Deirdre, tell us your story, because this is a very interesting one where Ulster Bank seems to want to be having its cake and eating it. Tell us the story.
Yeah. In July, I tried to close my account online, and I took out my money, and I wasn't able to actually close the account. I had difficulty closing it completely. So I went down to the Ulster Bank 2 months ago, or that was 2 months ago. I went down to the Ulster Bank last week, and I told the girl that I was charged fees then, and it was €11 at that stage, because they charged me the €5, €3 for each month that I hadn't closed it, and then they charged me a penalty.
And the penalty they charged you was because the account was empty?
Yes, exactly, Donal.
Now, I take it you have opened an account elsewhere at this point?
I did. I'd opened an account with another bank.
Yeah, and so you've taken all your money out and you've put your money into... Did you do a digital transfer to the new account, or did you actually physically take money out and then physically bring it to the new bank?
No, I did it online.
You did it online. So, which is exactly what it seems to me Ulster Bank are crying out to people to do. They're crying out to people, close your account, move your money elsewhere, please do this and do it now. And they're exhorting people to do it. You've done it and they've charged you a penalty for it.
Yes, but the problem is it's very difficult to close the account online. And when I went down to the bank, she told me that a lot of people are having problems physically closing the account. And so when I tried, she said, I can't close the account now because I have to pay the fees that they've charged me. And if I don't pay the fees, she said I would get a bad credit rating. So I was just wondering if that would be true. Like, if I don't pay the €11, will I get a bad credit rating?
This is a strange situation. I mean, I can absolutely understand where banks would want, under the normal circumstances, to protect their business and make it as difficult as possible for people to close accounts. But this is a bank which literally has advertising on air every day of the week, urging people, please close your account, please close your account, please, pretty please close your account, because they're going to find themselves next month with loads of accounts on their hands when they want to get out of the market, and they can't because they have loads of active accounts. And the fact that they haven't made it easy to close an account online sort of beggars belief, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I pay the fees of €11, or what would my position be? You know what I mean? What do I do?
Now, I mean, if you're asking what I would do personally, I will be honest. For peace of mind and a quiet life, I would pay it, and I would say, right, close the account right now in my presence, make sure it's closed, and then I would walk out of that bank and shake the dust off my heels and walk away. That's what I think I personally would do. But I mean, I know it's absolutely a point of principle, and I can absolutely understand why it is a point of principle. We'll put the call out to people. Yeah.
When I was in the bank that day, I hadn't got any cash with me, but I had my bank account, but I had to pay. They wouldn't take the card. That's why I walked out.
Right, they wouldn't then accept take the card from your new bank. Yeah.
No, it had to be cash.
I don't know. I mean, it seems on the one hand, I mean, and everyone is saying we're trying to make this as easy as possible. We're trying to make this as easy as possible. We're trying to make this as easy as possible. And the voiceover artists they're using on the Ulster Bank ads are the most reasonable sounding voiceover artists ever. They, and in fairness, I think we will also have to say that the person you dealt with face to face in the bank, it's not her, it's not her fault. She's saying what she's been told to say by her superiors, and I'm always conscious that people like that can be in a very invidious position because they're sort of the public face, and they can be sometimes the ones who take the irritation of people. So it's not her fault. Exactly. It seems to me that you've got one part of Ulster Bank is trying to do this properly, and another part of Ulster Bank is saying, there's money owed. We would certainly put it out there.
I'm sure there's other people. I'm sure there's other people out there. Because as you know yourself, when you go in and try into these banks, when you're trying to close an account in the bank, they're very difficult. It's all kind of small, and it's not easy to close completely. So that's why I went in then. It's difficult, especially as you get older. It's not easy.
Yeah, and especially when we're told that the online banking thing now is making it all much, much easier, and it should be a lot more straightforward now because we have online banking. And in some instances it is, and in some instances online banking has just complicated things even more. And there are some things where you would just go into the bank and get something sorted. Now online it's going to take an age to try and get it sorted. Deirdre, thanks for the call. We'll certainly put it out there.
Not at all. I just want to highlight it. Yeah.
It's a very, and especially the fact that you're actually being charged money for not having money in the account.
A zero balance, yes.
A zero balance incurs a penalty on an account you're being urged to close, but they won't leave you close it. Yeah, this does sound crazy. Deirdre, keep in touch. Let us know what happens. And in the meantime, if anyone can offer any perspective on this, I mean, certainly in terms of the credit rating, a lot of these things are computerized and they're automatically done, and you probably don't want that on your record. But listen, we will certainly put the call out there.
I don't think it'll matter at my age, Donal. I'd just be worried for younger people.
I would always, you never know. You might see a car you want or a holiday you want and think to yourself, do you know what? It's time. As far as I'm concerned, if you're still breathing, it's not too late.
I don't think I could pay.
I would never think that, Deirdre. I would never think if you're still breathing, there is time. You see something you like and bing.
Yeah, but I still don't think I could pay. I don't think I could pay them, Donal. I really don't.
Right.
Deirdre, listen,
you look after yourself, and we'll put the call out there in all seriousness. This is a serious situation. Deirdre, thank you very much indeed. That's Deirdre there.
You.
And that's the situation Deirdre finds herself in. That, Ulster Bank are telling us to, and I've no doubt before this programme is over, we'll have an ad calling on people to close their accounts in Ulster Bank. Deirdre tried to do the right thing. She tried to do everything that she's been urged to do by Ulster Bank, and they're now charging her money for it and threatening her with a bad credit rating if she doesn't pay them. Crazy. Earlier we spoke to Councillor Johnny Hamish O'Farry. Caller says, morning, turf cutting is doing no harm. We've been cutting turf for 40 years. We don't burn coal. It's too dirty. Turf does no harm. My great granny burned turf. She lived to 100. The government doesn't want turf cut because they can't get any tax off the turf. This government is too greedy. So says a caller. Now, the caller asks us to mention that there's a free webinar taking place at 3 o'clock this afternoon with a clinical and forensic psychologist, Dr. Blutley, about the relationship between false allegations and parental alienation for professionals and parents. To find out more or to book a free place, if you're interested, you can go to alienated.ie. That's alienated.ie. That's a webinar that's taking place this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Caller says, can anyone tell me when the GP visit card for children aged 7 will be rolled out? It was brought in budget 2022 and I still haven't heard anything on that. That's a fair question. If anyone can give any clarity on that, we'd appreciate it. And the caller says, all the UK currency with Queen Elizabeth's head on it will now need to be replaced as a priority. Now, this could be the perfect opportunity for the UK nations to introduce the new central bank digital currency that everyone except the mainstream news journalists are reporting on. Right, that's the perspective of one of our callers. This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It is just coming up to 2 minutes to 10 o'clock. Don't forget, if you want to call us, it's if you want to call us, it's 074 91 25,000. You can text or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. We'd be delighted to hear from you. Lots to come on the programme this morning. But coming up very shortly, it's the news and obituary notices at 10 with Emma. They're coming up after this short break.
Sheridan Security now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
It's where you live. It's where you relax. It's where you make memories. Treat your home to a visit to Cooney's Home Interiors. We have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Have you an account with Ulster Bank or KBC?
Yeah.
Do you get a social welfare payment into your account?
Yep.
Your bank is leaving the Irish market.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you switched to a new bank and updated your new account details with the Department of Social Protection?
Updated?
You need to let us know your new account details to ensure you continue to get your social welfare payment. The quickest way to update your account details is online at mywelfare.ie.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers making nursing home payments, for themselves or on behalf of a loved one, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. For more vulnerable customers who need extra assistance, please call our vulnerable customer line on 1800 656 001. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. Gardaí are continuing to appeal to the public for assistance in tracing the whereabouts of 17-year-old Nicole McGinley, who is missing from Quigley's Point since Thursday last. Nicole is described as being approximately 5 foot 2 inches in height with a medium build, short light brown hair and blue eyes. When last seen, Nicole was wearing a pink Umbro hoodie, black leggings, white trainers and had a black backpack with her. Anyone with information on Nicole's whereabouts are asked to contact Buncrana Garda Station. A report with a photograph of Nicole is available on our website at highlandradio.com. The manager of Donegal Domestic Violence Centre believes the introduction of a paid leave for victims of domestic violence will make a big difference. The bill will see the introduction of paid leave for victims of domestic violence, and once enacted, those who are suffering will be entitled to 5 days of paid leave per year. Dr. Maureen Hemsworth, manager of Donegal Domestic Violence Centre, told the 9 till noon show this leave will be immediate and will be extremely useful and beneficial to victims.
At the moment, people are having to use ordinary leave. Often if a domestic violence incident happens, a family have to uproot, they have to move, they have to go to court. So there's quite a bit of a time requirement by victims that isn't always able to be facilitated by the workplace, because people are having to use sick leave or they're having to use annual leave. And the difference with this particular type of leave is that it's immediate. Yes, definitely for clients that we work with, and certainly those that are having to look for accommodation or look for legal support, this kind of leave could make a big difference.
For the first time ever, parents will no longer have to pay for school books. From next September, all primary school children will get textbooks for free under measures set to be announced in tomorrow's budget. Renters will be able to avail of a tax credit payment of at least €200. Political reporter of the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones, says details around childcare were being finalised late into last night.
When it comes to the other big ticket items that we're expecting
there was some clarity emerging at least about the proposals that were going across to the leaders last night, if not the final political decision. Childcare, the proposal that went across, we understand, is for a 20 to 25% cut in the average cost of childcare per child starting from, we think, January next year. So that again will be a meaningful and quite expensive policy intervention.
House prices in Donegal have increased by 17% since last year. The average price of a home is now €200,000, 24% below its Celtic Tiger peak. With more, here's Aoife Cairns.
Prices in the third quarter of 2022 were 17% higher than a year previously, compared to a rise of 11% seen a year ago. There's been a 90% increase in new builds in the county, with 74 new homes being built in the past year. A one-bedroom apartment costs on average €80,000, an increase of 29.1%, while a two-bed terrace house costs around €99,000, a rise of 22.7%. The cost of a three-bed semi-detached has increased by 18% to €136,000, while a four-bed bungalow will cost around €243,000, an increase of 7.7%. The price of a five-bed detached house is now costing around €246,000, up 10.5% on last year.
And finally, a doctor who was involved in the development of the Moderna vaccine says seeing the vaccine being put to use was an unbelievable feeling. Dr. Susan Werski is a pioneer in the areas of vaccines and serves as an advisor to the Clinical Translation Research and Innovation Centre at Altney Galvin Hospital, with an emphasis on scholarships for medical students in the Northwest. Dr. Werski, who has roots in Creasla, was awarded an award at the Tip O'Neill Diaspora Awards for 2022 on Friday night in Buncrana. Speaking afterwards, she says working on Moderna was challenging, but to see the vaccine put into practice was amazing.
The fact that a worldwide pandemic came and a technology that I was, a part of a very large team that did amazing work to meet the challenge of that. My work in the early days of Moderna was actually helping proof of concept that the messenger RNA technology could lead to vaccines and therapeutics. So to see that in practice and applied after many, many years of hard work by so many talented scientists is really an unbelievable feeling.
To weather now, dry with some sunny spells for most today, though there will be isolated light showers. Cool and breezy with highs of 12 to 14 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. But until then, good morning. Obituary notices for Monday morning, September 26th. The death has taken place of Bridget Gallagher, Ards, Creasla, reposing at her late residence. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creasla, on Wednesday at 11 a.m, with burial afterwards in Doe Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flyers only please, donations if desired to the Creasla Day Centre, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Isabel Hanlon, Nee McKinley, Cor Cragen, Dunfanaghy. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. House private at the request of the deceased. Funeral service in Holy Trinity Church, Hornhead Road, Dunfanaghy, tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Burial afterwards in Clondahorky Cemetery. Family flyers only please, donations in lieu to the Little Angels School Letterkenny, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Willie Logan, Town Parks, Raphoe. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Family time on the morning of the funeral please. Funeral will leave his late residence, Town Parks, Raphoe, this afternoon at 1:20 p.m, going to St Eunan's Church, Raphoe, for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on www.parishofraphoe.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Oncology Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Kathleen McLaughlin, Nee Doherty, Ahilly, Buncrana. Funeral from there this morning at 10:15 a.m, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family only on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Oncology Department, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Hugh McSorley, 29, Davis Crescent, Newton Stewart. Funeral from there this morning, leaving at 10:15 a.m. for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Eugene's Church, Glenorch, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired to the Glenorch Restoration Fund, care of Paul Gallagher, funeral director, Newton Stewart. And the death has taken place of James L. Bavard, Carrow Trasna, Shrove. James L's remains are reposing at his home, where you may pay your respects from 12 noon to 6 p.m. today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by cremation at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. James L's funeral mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to the RNLI. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunan'sgadraw.com or any club member.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's hour 2 of the programme. Text us 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp us on that same number. Call us on 07491 25,000 with both Caroline and Donna Marie taking your calls. We were speaking earlier to Caitlin, who has deferred her college place in Maynooth because she just could not get affordable accommodation. €1,000 a month she was quoted for digs. Caller says that's just shocking. Our son has a lovely apartment on campus sharing with 4 boys in Northern Ireland for £90 sterling a week. That includes Wi-Fi, heat, electricity, his own sink in the bedroom, a desk and chair. Susie doesn't even cover his accommodation. All he gets is maintenance from them, not the tuition fees. Poor girl, that's a terrible situation. Another caller says, I had a similar situation, an experience. My daughter started college in Galway. It was impossible to find anything. We ended up paying €150 a month plus a share of the oil bill. We had to pay a deposit and a month in advance and a €200 deposit on breakages. She has a bedroom and she shares the rest of the house with a family. One of the houses we looked at was $800 a month plus bills. She wasn't permitted to use the kitchen between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. because they cook at 4 and it was too expensive to be cooking between these times. She was also not allowed shower between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. These people renting rooms want someone to pay their mortgage but not actually use the house. I wonder how many of these families are registered with revenue for renting a room. Another caller says our colleges should have a campus run by the college for its students. It would keep prices regulated and stop price gouging. Now, some colleges do, but in the most part what you're actually finding is student accommodation will be private accommodation, which is built by private developers using their own money as a business venture, and they will then charge what I I presume they believe the market will take, and it's an issue at this point in time of market economics, and that's the answer you'll get from the companies. The companies will offer a service, and they'll offer it at what they believe the market price to be. With the regards to Ulster Bank, we spoke to Deirdre just before the break, and Deirdre found herself closed an Ulster Bank account online, or so she thought. It then transpired the account hadn't actually closed, and what happened was then she was charged both a monthly fee of €5 and or €6, and then she was also charged €5 in a penalty because there was a zero balance on the account. So she thought she was closing her account as per the bank's advice. It transpired that the account didn't close, and they then charged her money because the balance was zero. And when she tried to get it sorted in the bank, she couldn't. And she's now in a situation where she's being, not to put a fine point on it, threatened with, be going on a list of bad debtors because she hasn't paid this money. A number of other callers have come through to us saying, caller had an Ulster Bank that was for closure. She went into the branch to finalise the closure and was told she owed €47 for a direct debit payment, which she paid in cash. Following this, she got a cheque in the post from the bank for the €47 back. When she tried to lodge that cheque, it went unpaid, and she was charged a €5 unpaid fee. This is terrible, especially for old age pensioners who aren't used to this sort of thing. Another caller says PTSB stopped taking sterling ages ago. When I asked why, they said they weren't making any money on dealing with foreign currency. Will this continue? And if so, customers should be made aware of this before they transfer from Ulster Bank. And we've now so done. Another caller says if that lady doesn't pay the €11, it goes up every month. Caller says exactly the same thing happened to me with Ulster Bank. I called them, they credited the fees back to me, and they closed the account the following day. The caller says what a lot of people don't realise is they can charge a company an administration charge in the same way they charge the customer. Do it in writing, lay out your administration charge. Once you inform them and they still haven't closed the account, you can then bill them your administration charge. If they fail to respond, follow through with the small claims court online. It takes time and effort, but can be well worth it. Now, I suspect most people at this point in time just want to get this darned thing resolved and get shot of it, I suspect, is the situation. Another caller says with regards to the turf, this climate change nonsense is going too far. People should be allowed to cut their own turf. It's many older people, their only source of heat, and it's essential. Eamon Ryan needs to cool off a bit. And one final comment before we go to a break. Caller says, I was at the protest in Dublin at the weekend. I thought the reporting on it has been sidelined. No one in this country is being held to account. The cost of living is going higher and higher. Yet there appears to be no mention of the added mental health pressure on Micah families. So says a caller. It's 10:15. We're going to take a short break. But before we do that, if you play Highland Radio, NCBI Radio Bingo, grab your books, grab your pens, and we will hand you over to Canis.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 26th of September. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S11. It's game number 39. The numbers are 50, 28, 21, 74, 63, 80, 55, 25, 62, and finally 1. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Book a private VIP screening at Century Cinemas. Perfect for celebrating birthdays and special occasions. Featuring a private VIP screening with luxury reclining seating, delicious popcorn and a brilliant choice of movies. For further information on our VIP packages, call Century Complex Letterkenny on 07491 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
If you have magic moments or great memories sitting on your phone or in the cloud, have them printed at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as 6x4s. 35mm and film from disposable cameras, also printed and digitalised. Use the in-store kiosks, download the McGee's Photo Prints app or visit mcgees.ie for photos printed instantly, within an hour, or in by 10 and ready by 5. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, the wait is over. Production is back. Now your plans can really begin. Whether that's scaling your business or smartening your service offering, with HP Finance from 3.9%, purchase contributions of up to €3,000 and service plans from €12.99 per month, don't wait. Secure your next Caddy Cargo, Transporter 6.1 or Crafter at your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. Be ready to really deliver. Offers for business customers only. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply.
Call into Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny today or visit connellys.ie to book a test drive.
They're on to the Cadbury FC website, ready to play Win a Worldie. Who will they choose? They see Harry Kane, Neymar Jr., to Virgil van Dijk, to Steph Horton. Finger moves towards their phone, glances up. This could be it. Yes! They're on their way to win a hangout with Harry Kane.
With thousands of prizes to be won, see worldie.cadburyfc.com for more details. T's and C's apply.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
It's 18 minutes past 10 o'clock on the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Now, the unveiling of a bronze statue in Ramelton to honour Nobel laureate Professor Bill Campbell will take place on this coming Saturday. It'll be unveiled by his daughters Betsy and Jennifer at Gamble's Square at 1:30. Professor Campbell is Ireland's only winner of a Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. He won it with a number of others in 2015. Now, Mick Geaver is a member of the Bill Campbell Legacy Committee and he joins us on Zoom. Mick, good morning. Mick, this is a very important event for Ramelton, a town that has a history of honouring its famous sons.
It is indeed, and we do have a history of looking after our own, and Bill Campbell is very much a Ramelton man. In his own words, he always says, "I'm always a Ramelton boy," and he's very conscious and remembers his roots, despite his world-leading success and fame. He's a Ramelton man at heart.
Yeah, sadly, he wasn't able to travel over for this particular unveiling, but his daughters, I'm sure, will do him proud and represent him there.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Unfortunately, now he's not getting any younger, like all of us, and he couldn't travel this time. But I was speaking to him the other day, and he's in great form, and he's certainly nothing wrong with his mind. His mind is as sharp as his wit, and he's looking forward to being with us kind of virtually. We've organised to set up a Zoom call with him, and we'll have a big screen on Gamble Square so that we'll be able to see him and he'll be able to see us, hopefully. And so he'll be with us in a way.
Speak to us about the legacy of Bill Campbell, because he was born and raised in Ramelton. He moved away and he forged a really important career for himself in that whole field of medicine and science.
He did. It's an extraordinary career, it really is. And it's kind of perhaps no surprise that it culminated in a Nobel Prize. As you said, he was born here in Ramelton in 1930 in the house which is now Wirsky's shop on the Mall in Ramelton, and his father had a shop there. He got a scholarship to go to Campbell College in Belfast post-primary. He went to Trinity College after that, graduated from there in 1952 with a first-class honours degree in zoology. And from there, then he got another scholarship, a Fulbright scholarship, to do his PhD in the University of Wisconsin in 1957, and worked with the Merck Institute for Therapeutic Research then from 57 to 1990. And that's where he did the work that eventually earned him this Nobel Prize, where he worked on parasitic diseases and the treatment of them and drugs to treat those, and developed a drug called ivermectin, which then morphed into a drug called Mectizan, which could be kind of taken orally. So it was easy to distribute and to take. And he made this was all for treatment of these kind of diseases in animals, but he had the genius to make the leap that maybe this treatment could be applied to human diseases, and in particular the disease called river blindness, which is caused by a pathogen, a worm, mostly found in the tropics, I think. Now I'm out of my depth here, and he convinced Merck. The second part of his genius and his effort was to convince Merck, who he worked for at the time, to donate this drug for free in massive quantities to countries where this disease was prevalent, and in particular in sub-Saharan countries and in Latin American countries, and they trialed it in 1981 in Senegal and France, and it was very successful. And then they subsequently distributed that to 33 countries actually at the moment, and up to 25 million treatments for this per year are now delivered free of charge, to the extent that this disease has now been eradicated. It was declared eradicated in 2010. So, that's a huge achievement by any stretch for a mountain boy, or for any boy, or any man,
and what a legacy to have. But as you said, we see people who are great orators and great persuaders, and we see people who are great scientists and great medical people and great researchers. What you don't always see is the two combined. And as you've already alluded to, that appears to have been Bill Campbell's, very, very special talent. That's what marks him out, that he had the medicinal knowledge, he had the research, he had the scientific background, but also had that persuasiveness that allowed him push it forward and actually get that wonderful legacy of 25 million treatments a year.
Absolutely, yes. He had it all. As you say, he was able to do the technical, scientific stuff, to world class level, and then he was able to communicate that effectively, to the people who had the decision making ability to make it available. So it's one thing to create a solution to a problem, but it's quite another then to be able to deliver that worldwide and make a huge difference. And that's what Bill could do.
It's quite clear that Ramelton and Donegal are honouring Bill Campbell and have been very conscious of and aware of Bill Campbell through the years. Nationally, across the country, do we have that same level of recognition? And could there be more done in Dublin? Could there be more done in Belfast to recognise the importance of this man and what he's done?
Well, perhaps, and it's difficult to gauge that, I guess. But certainly, Trinity College, his old alma mater in Dublin, has honoured him. And he was here. All of this was, of course, supposed to happen back in 2020, and then, like so many other things, we were put on hold with COVID and so on. But at that time, he came here. He visited Ireland, and Trinity College Dublin did honour him, and they hosted him, and he certainly has recognition from them. And then you mentioned the Campbell College in Belfast as well. Well, quite a few of them are coming to the event on Saturday. So they certainly hold Bill in the highest esteem, and he's certainly honoured there. Wider than that, I suppose people maybe aren't concerned with things that don't very directly connect to their lives in a way, and maybe sometimes Nobel Prize winners for literature or something are more visible in some ways. But it's difficult to underestimate the effect and the contribution that Professor Campbell has made. So hopefully in time, and maybe as part of our little legacy project here in Ramelton, maybe that'll give some more exposure. And the idea of having a statue is that it very much kind of fixes in bronze a lasting tribute and legacy to him that's visible for anyone to see that comes through Ramelton.
And the fact is that literally millions of people can see because of the work that man did.
Well, that's the bottom line, exactly. Yes, millions, tens of millions of people at no cost to them, and have been rescued from blindness simply by Bill's work. Yes.
And it's one of those things, and we're told so often in even advertisements for organisations like Goal and Concern and so on, that a lot of the diseases in these areas of, as you said, sub-Saharan Africa and the tropics and so on, a lot of these diseases are eminently treatable, they're eminently identifiable, and it's just a matter of getting the right drug and the right treatment to the right people and getting it fast enough. And, that's something that Bill Campbell was able to expedite and to get that done free gratis by the company. And let's face it, drug companies are not known for their philanthropy by and large, and we don't usually associate drug companies like Merck and their contemporaries with philanthropy, perhaps unfairly at times, but it's not the first thing comes to mind.
You're quite right. Yeah, like all of these big corporations, their profit, their bottom line is their top concern. And I seem to remember talking to Bill about this at some stage, and it was the WHO and Merck together actually who did this at the time, the World Health Organization. But I seem to remember him saying that they basically went into a meeting with all of these top executives who had the power to make these decisions, and they said, we're just going to ask. So he had the guts and the confidence, and he had the confidence of his own work, his own scientific work behind him, to be able to to suggest this solution as being a really good one, and it worked. He he persuaded them, and it worked, and it's changed the world, literally.
It'll be a very important celebration on this coming Saturday in Remelton, the unveiling of that statue to honour Bill Campbell, Professor, Nobel Laureate, and a man who, as we've just said, has given sight to millions of people. What a wonderful legacy. Mick Geever, a member of the Bill Campbell Legacy Committee and one of the key organisers of that event, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us today.
Thank you very much, Donal. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wonderful... I mean, I think, I don't think you can overstate the importance of what Bill Campbell has done, and I think it is right that it's recognised. I think it's right that it's honoured, and it's wonderful to know that Remelton once again is, as we've said, looking after and honouring one of its own. We're going to take a short break. Back in a moment with a piece of music. Don't go away.
Tune in this Tuesday to the Community Garda information slot, on air after 10 a.m. on the 9 till noon show in association with Sheridan Security Systems. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
If you need a suit, then call to the Suit Bar at Evolve in Letterkenny Retail Park. Whatever your size, Evolve has it. Whatever your style, shape or price, the Suit Bar at Evolve has your suit. At Evolve Letterkenny Retail Park.
Hello, I'm Liz O'Donnell, Chairperson of the Road Safety Authority. After 2 years away, the Road Safety Authority's Leading Lights in Road Safety Awards return this year. In every community in Ireland, there are unsung heroes working to make our roads safer. These awards are our chance to recognise the extraordinary contribution these people have made. If there's someone you'd like to nominate, visit rsa.ie. The closing date is the 28th of October.
It's back. The Furniture Show NI is now on at CFC Interiors Camp C Derry. Save with massive discounts from leading brands in furniture and interiors, from sofas, beds, flooring and design. CFC have it all reduced in their biggest sale. Don't miss the Furniture Show NI, now on at CFC Interiors Camp C Derry.
Experience the best of Oma's rich musical heritage through a weekend of music and events from Thursday 29th of September until Sunday the 2nd of October. Enjoy Oma Music Thrill, exhibition voices and stories from the show band era and Oma's trad folk. On Saturday 1st of October, presenting Oma show bands is Highland Radio's Frank Galligan. You'll hear authentic show band sounds from Dominic Kerwin and his band, Ray Moore, Frankie McBride, the Call Brothers, Tony Hutchinson and more. All complemented by a vintage tea dance on Sunday. For more tickets and details, log on to strualartcentre.co.uk.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at St Eunan's.
Jigsaw, originally from Monaghan, actually, I think, is our Ryan. And he played a great set. In fact, that whole weekend was a great weekend of music. Absolutely fantastic. What a wonderful, wonderful way to end the summer. Just one or two comments. Caller says, I got a WhatsApp message. It said, it was from my daughter. It just said, hi, ma'am, lost my phone and credit card, need some money to make a payment. So I authorised a payment from Revolut. The scammers then asked to buy something else. I realised too late it wasn't my daughter. Asked to send a photo of herself, no reply. Never thought anything about it, as my daughter has a business and is always losing cards. Please make people aware. And we hear this one so often where people say, look, they get a message saying, oh, I've lost my phone. And ask yourself, and what it'll do is they'll claim to be a son or a daughter or a relative. They've lost their phone, so they're texting on a friend's phone, which is why you won't recognise the number. And it's one of those things which, some people fall for and some don't. And even if, from the scammer's point of view, if 1 in 10 falls for it, that's easy money for a scammer. And please always be careful. Interesting email came through to us there a few days back. We recently got a wet room put in on a council grant. I know lots of these are done for older people. We had to demand different tiles as we were given choice of out-of-date styles. There are so many R11 and R12 non-slip tiles out there. I was wondering if any older people got this done but weren't happy with the styling choices they were given. We had no choice about a rail for shower curtains being fitted in a wet room, so besides it being unnecessary, it's just ugly looking, but also puts unnecessary holes in our new tiles. I know it's not a major issue, but older people deserve as nice a wet room as anyone else who is paying for it themselves. Let's put that out there for discussion and consideration. Now, let's go to line 1, and I'm joined by Michael. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Now, we're a lot of talk, obviously, Michael, about refugees, and in particular Ukrainian refugees are coming over. And you have a perspective on this.
I do, yes. I have a very big perspective on it, to be quite honest. First of all, I would just like to say that we seem to be opening the doors to Ukrainian refugees. And I just want to know, is the world's full of refugees, such as the situation in Russia. There's more people leaving Russia to flee the situation of being in war, being picked to have to go to war, so they're actually fleeing their own country to avoid this. They're refugees. You also have the situation in Pakistan, where a percentage of their country was flooded and thousands lost their lives, and there's still thousands with. I mean, these people had nothing before the flood, but they're left with nothing now. And we seem to have the doors open for Ukrainians. And I just want to know is what's the difference between a refugee and a refugee. Even at church, at Mass on Sunday, the priest even prayed for the refugees of Ukraine. But the world's full of refugees, and I think it's got to the stage it's very unfair. There's even more Irish people leaving our country today, seeking better employment, seeking a life, because our own government's not looking after our own people. So these poor people, poor young people, are having to seek other countries for employment, for jobs. I mean, we're living in a society where I think we're very mediocre news pushed the one way. We're not hearing the whole story of the whole situation of the war, and in terms of Russia, in terms of the situation. But there are a lot of them people fleeing their homes too, fleeing their country, fleeing a situation of war as well.
But surely someone, if people are fleeing their homes in Russia, they are entitled to go to another country and claim asylum on the basis of a claim political asylum, just as everybody else is entitled to do so. It's not just a matter of concentrating on one. Obviously, there is a lot of focus on Ukrainian refugees at this point in time because there has been a concentrated war in Ukraine, and homes have been bombed, towns have been bombed in shells, and people have been left without physical homes. If there are people who are seeking political asylum out of Russia because of the way they're being treated by their government, they too are absolutely entitled to come here and claim asylum.
Yes. See, that's exactly my point, Donal. I just think, I mean, there are people out there going to be saying, oh, we've enough of refugees in this country and the refugees are getting everything and so on and so forth. We do have to cast our mind back to the famine and so on. Like, I mean, we were refugees ourselves, and as I just stated a minute ago, there is a lot of our own people leaving our country today to seek better employment, seek better lives. And I know, yes, they're not forced out of the home due to a war, but there's no support from their own government here. We have no support. The working class people of Ireland are being punished so badly that they're having to leave this country to seek a better lifestyle. And that's so unfair. That is, for me, it's diabolical that a working class person gets punished for trying to do everything by the book, do everything right. They lose their medical card if they're a couple of pound over, if one of them's working, one's not working. Our situation in this country, as far as I'm concerned, is diabolical when it comes to situations like this. So all I'm now defending is all refugees. If we're going to open the door up to any of them, let's open the door to all of them. And I'm talking about, what about the country, for example, you don't even hear it mentioned now, after America and Britain invaded it, which was Afghanistan. Look at the state of the country they left that in. And it never changed, and it's no mention of them. We were never open to them. They were refugees. We seem to be, I hate using the word, but I think we're very racist when it comes to our refugees and who we allowed in and what colours allowed in. And I think it's very unfair.
Well, I know we did get some Afghan refugees here, but there are also issues of proximity, issues of culture. That, I mean, the reality, and I'm just going to put this out here for discussion, but the reality of it is Ukraine is closer to Ireland. Ukraine is probably culturally closer to Ireland as well as geographically closer to Ireland. In terms of, if you were to take in a large amount of people from Afghanistan, if people in Afghanistan have a claim to make for asylum, then Ireland, under its obligations, under the UN that it signed up to, under various conventions, Ireland has an obligation to accept refugees from whatever country and not to discriminate between one refugee or another on the basis of where they happen to be from. But I suppose logistics and proximity means we are more likely to get refugees from Ukraine than we are to get from Afghanistan and Pakistan. But that by no means negates the possibility of people from Afghanistan or Pakistan seeking refuge here.
Yeah, I do think though it's more of your NATO sort of base why we're taking in the refugees, to be honest. And again, in my opinion, this is an issue that seems to be very powered by America. America's only choking for war, in my opinion, because they've got billions of ships, billions of pounds spent on war and weaponry and so on and so forth. That if this world keeps going and keeps falling into peace agreements and peace, there'll be no need for these people. So I know it sounds really bad, but it's almost like they're adamantly looking for a war so they can put these things into use. And it's so sad because at the end of the day, where there's war, there's money. And that is the part that's very sad.
But you then are equating NATO and the UN, because obviously Ireland is a neutral country. Now, I know there's a huge debate about that and people will question to what extent that is the case. But at this point in time, Ireland is not a member of NATO. NATO has no say in Irish policy, nor does Ireland have any obligation to listen to NATO. Where our obligations lie and where our focus is on the United Nations.
But during the Afghanistan situation, apparently they were allowing Shannon Airport to refuel the jets flying from America to refuel. That's not a country that sounds NATO to, or neutral to me. I think Ireland, it's very sad. We've been forced into a situation where we're in being part of the EU. We're not really getting our own choices and we're not getting our own decisions of how this is supposed to be going. I think if we're going to be neutral, and we should be staying neutral, and as I said, we should be there for each and everybody. Ireland used to be, as I grew up in it, very Christian, very peaceful, wee world, wee place, and obviously you always had your troubles with the Northern Ireland situation. and that even on its own with the whole situation of the 6 counties and a united Ireland and all this situation as well. We have enough to worry about ourselves without taking sort of sides from anybody, in my opinion.
Yep, Michael, it's a valid point, and thank you indeed for raising it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's important to have these discussions. It's important to have these discussions.
Yeah,
Michael, thank you very much.
So. This is what I'm saying. Thank you, Donal. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael,
Bye.
and you have a good day. That's Michael there, and that's Michael's perspective on the issue. Now, a couple of comments that have been coming in. Actually, just one or two comments that have just come in. A caller says, with regards to Michael saying, we should be opening the doors to refugees from all areas. One caller says that would be a disaster. Why aren't we vetting anyone coming in? Surely that would make sense. It would be good to know who you have around the place. Another caller says, I see a lot of Ukrainians driving their own cars from their own country. How does that work? Insurance, license, etc. Why are customs and the guards not lifting theirs, but they lift northern cars? Or are we not allowed to ask the question? You're allowed to ask the question, absolutely. I would imagine if someone is bringing their own car in under a refugee agreement, there are protocols in place to look after that eventuality. I don't know what those protocols are, but I'm sure those protocols are there, and we will certainly make inquiries to see what we can learn for you. It's 11:15. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
There's only one thing as good as a TUI holiday, and that's looking forward to one. So get next summer sorted and secure your TUI holiday today. Choose beach, lakes and cruise breaks across a wide range of destinations, including Mexico direct from Dublin, plus all your favourites like holiday villages, Splash World resorts and our own TUI Blue hotels. Secure now with thousands of free child places and a low booking deposit of €25 per person. That's next summer's holiday sorted. TUI, live happy. T's and C's apply.
Is your current car ready for a change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town, as we have a great selection of quality approved Skodas and Seat used cars, which are fully serviced, fully prepped and ready to go. With finance available and cars to suit all budgets, let us help you upgrade your car today. For more information, call DMG Motors on 074 97 21 396 or view our current used stock on dmgmotors.ie.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me. Any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending could be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hello everybody, it's me, Tommy Tiernan. I'm playing the Mount Errigal Hotel on Saturday, the 1st of October, with my brand new stand-up comedy show, Tom Foolery. Tickets are £35 from ticketmaster.ie. Don't you dare miss it.
We'll see you down the road. Good luck.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here, inviting you to join myself and Jimmy Stafford this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, we welcome back legendary frontman for Ghost Don't Shave, Pat Gallagher. We also say hello to Yoni Show and singer-songwriter Liam Kemmy, and from Karen Dunner, we welcome Amy O'Connor. For the best of music and the best of guests, it's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on Highland Radio.
Text 086 60 25,000.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. If you've been watching the financial markets or keeping an eye on the news today, you may have heard that sterling tumbled to a record low this morning. Traders scampered for the exits, we're told, on speculation. The government's economic plan will stretch Britain's finances to the limit. The Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng's package of tax cuts announced last week stirred expectations of an emergency rise in UK interest rates, and there are fears that the fall of sterling could continue. To unpack what all this could mean for us as consumers and indeed for business in the Northwest, let's go to one of our long-standing experts that we consult on this programme with regards to money matters, and that is John Lowe from the Money Doctors. John, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. Thank you very much indeed. John, I'm sure as a financial man, you're watching what's happening sterling with interest at the moment. Now, this was flagged over the past number of days, but did you expect the fall in sterling today to be as stark as it was?
No, I didn't. In fact, but it's really a backlash, Donal, of that Kwasi Kwarteng's mini budget. I mean, no one was going to expect, that 45% tax rate to be dropped altogether. And then they give, a kind of a sample, 1% off the bottom rate of tax. That's cost billions. And, that has reflected badly in the sterling drop. Plus, there's other economy worries as well. I think also coupled with the US strength of the dollar, That's also, all these have interplayed. Then interest rate rising, inflation is raging, and I don't think there's that much confidence in the British Prime Minister, I have to say.
I mean, the sort of knee-jerk reaction to everything that happens in the British economy for the past number of years has been Brexit. Everything just automatically gets Brexit, and it's become sort of the overarching thing you blame everything on. Is Brexit a factor in this, or does it go deeper than that?
I actually think it is. There was a wonderful speech made by Tony Blair on why Britain would ever want to leave Brexit. Why do they ever want to leave Europe? And it made such compelling evidence and compelling reasons why they should never. It's like being on the top table, Donal, where you're now one of the big four in the world. Because that's where Europe is, with the economies of, say, America, China, Japan, and Europe. But when Brexit happened and Britain went, they're now on the third tier. They can't even get up to the table. And so therefore they've no standing whatsoever in world kind of situations, in world economy. So, I mean, it's their own doing. It does go back to Brexit, I have to say. And whether, this is going to continue the way it's going, I don't think that mini budget was any help to the Brexit people who were saying we should never have left.
Are we at the point where effectively what's happened is that successive chancellors and indeed successive prime ministers have been exhorting the virtues of the British pound and the pound this and the pound that, and so much trust and so much faith has been put in the history and tradition of the pound that they're effectively hoist on their own petard, and they've given the pound a lot more solidity in their exhortations than it in fact deserves.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you used to see the old English £5 note, Donal, it actually stated, "We promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £5." That was actually backed by gold bullion in the Bank of England vaults. That went years ago, and there's absolutely nothing behind that £5 note, sadly now, which basically means they can print whatever they like. I mean, in fairness, America and all the countries of the world are now doing that. America has, I don't know why the American dollar is so strong. I can't understand when they have a net federal debt of 30 trillion. Now, if you put that into perspective, the next kind of most indebted nation is Japan at 14 trillion. And then you go right back down to the next indebted nation, they're like at 3 trillion, which includes the UK, by the way. And like 3 trillion is enormous. In Ireland, we are at 270 billion, which is still outrageous. And on a per capita basis, pretty much the same as in the UK, as in some other countries. But United States is way out there in terms of indebtedness. And there's nobody, by the way, paying it back. That's the problem. That's money that was being borrowed from other countries, including Ireland, I might add. So when they get offer us a kind of a bond with an attractive coupon, which is the deposit interest, you're looking at maybe 2%, maybe 2.5%, and say, "Oh, that's great." So we give them the money, we get the 2.5% every year, or whatever way it's paid, and we will never get that money back. That's the reality.
But the dollar is also strong against the euro, which begs the question, and it's a fair question you're asking in terms of how come the dollar is so strong. But given the euro versus pound, euro versus sterling dynamic at the moment, I mean, it does beg the question, how come the euro is so low against the dollar? One would have expected the euro to be strong as well, surely.
Okay, I think actually it's down to confidence, Donal. Everything is actually down to confidence. And one of the reasons why the euro is kind of half sinking is the Ukraine war. There's so many imponderables out there, between inflation, energy costs. That Ukraine war doesn't seem. I mean, there was one. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I got a text message from a French friend of mine who said that Erdogan over in Turkey had forecast there's going to be peace in very, very shortly, in a couple of weeks. How wrong he was. I mean, it's gone the other way. So all these things are mitigating the whole thing about the euro and the kind of getting back to any kind of a decent rate, but we just have to plow on.
Let's unpack what this collapse of sterling means in terms of Ireland, and let's be parochial, the Northwest in particular, because obviously we have an extra dynamic here that perhaps wouldn't be there in Dublin, in that we literally have border towns 20 minutes away from where I'm sitting. So for people in Donegal, it's no bother to travel across the border to do some shopping and to import into and out of Northern Ireland. Presumably we're at the situation where anyone who wants to buy in Northern Ireland is going to be quite happy in the short term at least, but anyone who is importing from Northern Ireland, anyone exporting to Northern Ireland, I should say, could suddenly find a very different situation.
Absolutely. Anybody who's got a property in Britain and they're about to sell it, they're going to get less money than they were planning to get, less money than they hoped to have got. You're going to have that same situation. It's a bit like going back to the 70s and 80s, Donal, when Jonesborough was the famous place where you get butter at whatever and then oil at much cheaper. There will be a certain element of that until this calms down a bit. Will it calm down? That's the question.
And as you said, confidence issues, and there'll always be confidence, there'll always be ups and downs in the market. But as you said, one of the imponderables, particularly from the point of view of the euro, is the fact that you do have that ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and as long as that's ongoing, one would have thought it'll be difficult to see how stability is going to be achieved in the longer term at least.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Unfortunately, it is destabilizing the entire, not just the region, but the economy of Europe, the economy of the world. And it's affecting energy costs, food costs, you name it. And people, we have our budget now tomorrow, and there's supposed to be some kind of a huge social welfare package going to be introduced, and it still probably won't be enough. There'll be still people who will be complaining that they can't afford to live. It's amazing how at one stage there a couple of weeks ago they were talking about this inheritance tax reduction, and the reality is that there's far more pressing things that need addressing more than the reduction of an inheritance threshold.
Well, obviously we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the budget tomorrow, but we did see last week's mini budget, as we said, from Kwasi Kwarteng, the UK Chancellor. Not the most auspicious of starts then from his point of view, nor indeed from the point of view of Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister.
I think Liz Truss is not playing a good game at the moment, and even for her to allow Kwasi Kwarteng to abolish that 45% rate, what do you think is that doing to say the Labour candidates, the social people in the UK who see that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer? That's essentially the message that they're putting out on that situation, on that mini budget.
Perhaps what they're doing is playing to the people they believe to be their voters at the end of the day. Maybe they're wondering, is there an election coming a lot sooner than we might have expected?
Well, they're a long way from, Gloria Maloney from Italy, who's on the far right. I can't see really it's a kind of a 50-50 divide in Britain.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I can't see that happening. Really.
And then again, when Theresa May called a snap election, expecting to come back with a big, huge majority and a big wave of support, we saw how that went. John Lowe, pleasure as always talking to you. Thanks indeed for helping put some flesh on the bones of that story. And we will watch how the markets go with interest. John, thank you.
Thank you, Donal. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you too. That's John Lowe there of the Money Doctors. It's approaching 11 o'clock. Time for headlines very shortly. Before we do anything else, though, we're going to take a short break.
Have you a job vacancy that needs urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Sign up for a job spot and we will tell our 70,000 daily listeners about your vacancies every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows. We will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our job spot section. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 5322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
The new TFI Young Adult Leap Card is for 19 to 23-year-olds, offering a 50% discount on Transport for Ireland fares, and now also includes many commercial bus operators too. Students who are in full-time education and are over 23 can also avail of these savings with a TFI Student Leap Card. So save 50% on fares with a young adult or student leap card across the Transport for Ireland network and participating commercial bus operators. See leapcard.ie for details and to order yours today.
Going angling? Better think safety. Better keep an eye on the weather. Better wear a life jacket and secure it correctly. Better carry a fully charged mobile in a waterproof bag. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe than sorry. For advice, visit watersafety.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Let Joe McGee Butchers feed your family with their 5 for €20 deal. Choose from our fantastic deli range. Lasagnas, cottage pie, chicken curry and soups. Just a sample of our fine products all made in store only at Joe McGee Butchers, Letterkenny and Glencar shopping centres. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to give blood and to choose to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Ballybuffet and Dunlow should attend the clinic in Jackson's Hotel in Ballybuffet from Monday 26th to Wednesday 28th of September. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800-731-137 to book your time. New donors are welcome. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Just got a note in saying there's a cow blocking the road on the Ballybuffet stride of Drumkeen. Just please be aware of that if you're in that particular area. Cow blocking the road on the Ballybuffet side of Drumkeen. That notice just came in to us. It's a minute past 11, time for headlines, and we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. 2 people have been taken to Letterkenny University Hospital following a crash in Letterkenny this morning. Guardian Emergency Services attended the scene of the 2-vehicle collision that occurred at around 10 to 10 in the Carnamugga area. Gardaí say the injuries sustained are non-life-threatening. Efforts are ongoing to locate a teenager missing from the Quigley's Point area of Donegal. 17-year-old Nicole McGinley was last seen on Thursday last. She's described as being approximately 5'2" in height, with a medium build, short light brown hair and blue eyes. The north and west of the country have been downgraded to a lagging region by the European Commission. The area, which includes the counties of Donegal, Galway, Roscommon, Leitrim, Sligo, Monaghan and Mayo, has been downgraded, as has been noted, as being significantly poorer relative to the European average over recent years. The Commission says the region faced a range of challenges, including lower productivity and educational attainment, as well as having weaker skills base. Free school books and a 20 to 25% cut in childcare costs are among the measures to be included in the budget. Details were being finalised by Cabinet until the early hours of this morning and will be announced in full tomorrow. Other measures include a doubling of child benefit in November and a €200 tax credit payment for renters. The manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Centre believes the introduction of a paid leave for victims of domestic violence will make a big difference. The bill, once enacted, means those who are suffering or at risk of domestic violence will be entitled to 5 days paid leave per year. And a Donegal County Councillor is calling for the government to abandon plans to criminalise turf. Councillor John Hamish O'Farrell says he has been contacted by a number of people who are concerned about the fast approaching winter and the impact of the ban. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Hi, I need to talk to you about your pension. And I know this might be boring to some people, so every so often I'm going to raise my voice like this to keep your attention. Your Irish Life pension could help you do right by your money by investing less in companies that harm the planet and more in those trying to help it, while always aiming to give you the strongest possible return.
See irishlife.ie for pension funds that have a responsible approach, or speak to your financial broker or advisor. A better life with Irish Life. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, into the final hour of the programme, and it's 11:05 time to preview tonight's DL debate, but a DL debate with a bit of a difference, because tonight it's being presented by Oisin Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Donal. Yeah, standing in for Brendan tonight, and as we are all very much aware, the Devaney family are going through a very difficult time at the moment, and Brendan and his family are very much in our thoughts as we look ahead to tonight's DL debate show, which is very much all about club championship football, Donal.
Niamh Connell, sorry, push that up. Niamh Connell once again, 6th club championship final in a row.
It's a remarkable journey for them. 6 finals in a row, Donal. They haven't won all 6, but it's a remarkable record to just show how you have been sitting at the top table of club championship football in Donegal, and Niamh Connell are now there for a 6th year in a row. And I'm just reading here in the Donegal News in front of me. There's a handful of players, the likes of Anthony Thompson, Brendan McDyer, Liam McClune and Marty Boyle, who are now set to compete in a club championship final for an 11th time in their career. They were there back in 2005, which is remarkable. Marty Boyle came on as a sub yesterday for Niamh Connell, and he played for a club championship game for the 101st time, Donal. So he played very well too. He wasn't showing any signs of his age or how long he's been round the block for. So, but yesterday, listen, Niamh Connell do what Niamh Connell do.
Yeah.
And they came through against Gweedore, and there was patches in the match where it looked like Gweedore had them on the rack, but Niamh Connell never ever panic.
Tenacious to the end.
Tenacious to the end, and there was 2 periods of the game. One was the closing 10 minutes of the first half, and the other was from 10 minutes into the second half to the end of the game, where they showed how they can work so well as a group. We said it yesterday in our commentary. There's nobody that's kicking out the lights here that's scoring 6, 7, 8 points a game. Collectively, they're very good. They have players that are in control of the situation. Players chipping in with 3 points to go in Doherty. There was a number of players at 2 points apiece. But the way they work as a unit is very, very impressive, Donal. And again, through to a 6th final.
I heard Owen say on the Sports News, was it 8 different players scored?
8 different players scored, and they had, 13 points on the board?
Yeah, again, it makes the point, it is very much a team.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because, I mean, you know, if I'm right, in at least 2 or 3 of those previous finals, I mean, Gweedore would have beaten Niamh Connell in those finals. So, I mean, it isn't as though you've got one team which is way ahead of everybody else. You've got 3 or 4 really evenly matched teams in the club championship in Donegal, and this could go anyway.
At the start of the championship, we always talk about the big 4 in Donegal, who are St Eunan's, Niamh Connell, Kilkear and Gweedore. And as the championship materialised, those were the 4 teams that filtered through and into the semi-finals of the competition. Now, Gweedore, are they at the same level they were in 2018 when they won the championship, and they went on, of course, to win the Ulster club title as well? Since then, bar last year, it was all about Niamh Connell. They were going for three in a row, but it's usually every year you see the top 4 filter through and come through to the knockout stage. And when you get to that stage, it's anybody's game. Now, Gweedore were very much in that tie yesterday and in periods, and if Niamh Connell didn't step up to the level that they needed, it could be different today, because Gweedore do have a very, very talented team, but Niamh Connell again were just able to grind it out and know when to put the foot down and the hammer down, and they're able to see it out, though.
And it's either Eunan's or Kilkear. They play next
Saturday. That game was postponed last weekend due to the funerals taking place in Newton Cunningham. Both Patrick and Margaret, of course, were associated with the St Eunan's club. They put it back to Saturday night. 7:30 is the throw-in time. And St Eunan's are the defending champions, so there's a big X in their back, so there is, as they head to this clash against Kilkear. And maybe off the 2, that was the tie that everybody was looking forward to. We'll have live commentary from it, but St Eunan's will need a big performance in their defence of their Dr Maguire this coming weekend, Donal. And we can't forget about the other championship encounters that took place over the weekend. Cairn Donagh and Letterkenny Gales both progressing through to the final in just under 2 weeks' time. They will meet in the decider in that competition. And this coming weekend as well, there's the intermediate final with Donal. Donal are taking on Niamh Columba from Glencolmcille in that final, which is taking place on Saturday. So we'll be talking all that championship and the DL debate, Donal, coming up after the 7 News. Senior wise, we'll be joined by 2 men that know a thing or two about. One in the Dr Maguire, John Gilday of Niamh Connell, and we'll also be joined by Gary McDade of Glen Swilly. And Ryan Ferry of the Donegal News will be talking Junior and Intermediate Championship football as well. So it's going to be a busy programme.
Yeah, Oisín, thanks very much indeed. That's the deal debate, which, as Oisín said, is taking place tonight after the 7 o'clock news here on Highland Radio. Now, let's turn down Oisín's mic and read a couple of your comments. Caller says, Electric Ireland bill has just arrived and it is crazy. €163.99 dated for tomorrow. It becomes €223.99 when I print out my bill. That's €62 in charges. How do they get away with this increase in the charges? That's from a caller there. With regards to the Ulster Bank story, we were speaking earlier to Deirdre, who found herself facing fees after closing her account, leaving a zero. Well, she tried to close her account, took all the money out and transferred it to a new account, and is now being charged €5 in a penalty because her account is empty. And another caller says, yep, exactly the same thing has happened to me. We spoke earlier to Michael about the refugee situation, and Michael was speaking to us about his belief that all refugees should be given equal treatment no matter where they're from. Caller says, yep, it's good that somebody is brave enough to speak about that. Another caller is saying, with regards to sterling, thank God the sterling is so weak, it'll give Northern Ireland a break from the cost of living crisis, as everyone will be shopping in the north. It'll help Northern Ireland's economy because we're putting money into it. It'll also help us save on our shopping in the Republic as well. Now, we're going to move tack and we are going to go to Zoom, where we are joined by Colm Markey, who's a Fine Gael MEP. You may well have been listening to the news earlier, and Emma was telling us on news bulletins this morning that the north and west of Ireland have been downgraded to a lagging region by the European Commission after becoming significantly poorer relative to the European average over recent years. And we're joined on the line by MEP Colm Markey. Colm, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Pleasure to speak to you as always. Colm, you're looking now at this finding by the Commission, and I suppose first and foremost it has to be said it's not going to come as a huge surprise.
No, I suppose it's not. We've always recognised that the northwest region, if you like, was the one that was lagging most in the country, and I suppose we continue to need to address that situation. I think the fact that the Atlantic Technical University has been set up is a great opportunity to get greater investment into the West. Like, one of the things that was identified was lowered educational attainment and weaker skills base. So those are two things that perhaps through the technological university we can try to prioritise. But I do think there needs to be some level of, if you like, a positive discrimination of the Northwest region to allow it to redress that balance, if you like. And I think we'll have to look at what can be done in that regard. But it should be said at the same time that over the last two years, I think the counties with the greatest growth in employment have been Donegal, Leitrim, Sligo, Monaghan and Cavan. So it's not all bad news. I think these figures go back to about 2019, really, was when 2019 and up to 2019 and in one case up to 2021. But I think the reality is we know it's a region that needs greater investment. I think the idea of establishing the technical university, like the Northwest region, had a significant deficit in let's say third level provision, and I think that if you look at inward investment, foreign direct investment into the country, one thing they do identify is to have, let's say, colleges that they can work alongside for research and development and developing skills bases. So I think that as a step is very important. But on the bigger picture, I do think there has to be a strong, hard look to see what else can be done for the region as a whole.
The key figure that we've been given is that the GDP in the region, now the region we're talking is basically Donegal, Mayo, Galway, Roscommon, Leitrim, Sligo and Monaghan, that the GDP in the region, it was 82% of the European average between 2015 and 2017. It's now 71%. Now it's gone below that sort of 75 to 80% threshold. And I mean, their figures, and they're similar to figures we would have been seeing quite a long time ago when you had the whole debate about Objective 1 status, as it used to be called back in the day. And it does seem that this region, to a certain extent, is slipping backwards now.
It is, and I think the idea, I suppose, of having these that status should direct more investment and more funding into the region. So I think it's important that we have a plan in place of how we would use funding that would come in. One thing I've said, I was speaking with the regional authority there a couple of weeks ago, and I think every county council needs to develop an EU funding officer to try and attract some of that funding into the region. But I think the other thing that we mustn't lose sight of, like, there is enormous potential in that region in relation to, let's say, the like of offshore wind or renewables in general, in particular, and a whole raft of other renewables onshore, be it biomass or the various other wind energy or various other options. But they have to be certainly focused on, alongside the like of looking at, let's say, retrofitting our buildings and all the things that we're doing everywhere else. But I think we need to do them particularly strategically in this region and ensure that there's additional investment and, if you like, positive discrimination to redress the balance. Like, that's ultimately what this status is meant to do. It's meant to put a priority into the region. And I think one of the things that was identified in recent times is the capacity of, let's say, the institutions and the structures, be it of state and let's say semi-state or public bodies, to actually make use of funding that's made available. I think there was an effort there was essentially, there's 210 million of ERDF funding coming into the region in the next period. But I think that potentially could have been higher, but for the fact the suggestion was that some of the structures at government and, I suppose, public body level weren't as strong as they could be to take advantage of that. And I think that's where the like of Atlantic Technological University in particular, I think, could be a massive player in trying to help progress this and address this situation.
Is it a matter of channeling money through the county councils at local level, channeling it through regional authority level, or channeling it through national level? Because it's one thing to get the money in and to get the money allocated, which at times isn't necessarily the problem. The problem appears to be the way in which it's spent, and even more so the way in which it's distributed and who it's distributed through.
I think that's where you need a strategic plan in terms of identifying where the priorities are and where the money would be best spent. My experience of working with some of the colleges around the country is that through the colleges you can get a lot of research and development that does open the door to new innovative industries, and also to develop those skills bases that would attract those employers in. So I think certainly the identifying where the money is spent, I think if it goes in at national level, it can have certain benefits, but certainly I think the more localised the funding goes in, the more in tune perhaps the local community is with how that could be spent. If you look at a more broader principle level, like across Europe, we have the most centralised form of government. It's well recognised in Ireland as the most centralised form of government. And maybe that isn't helping our situation. I think there is a need to bring more power at a local level, be it through the like of local government, but also through other structures like the universities, like the various, be it leader companies or the various funding agencies, local enterprise offices. And I think a lot of these structures are more focused, more localised, and more aware of where the opportunities are as well.
From the point of view of education, and you've spoken again and again about the Atlantic Technological University, and indeed we have ATU campuses in Letterkenny and in Killybegs as well. That does have the opportunity to be a game changer. Now, we already have things like the CoLab in Letterkenny, which was set up by Letterkenny IT as it was before ATU status. So it's going to be a matter very much in building on those things like those incubator units, because it does appear in more recent years the growth in employment, the growth in development is coming not from multinationals, it's coming from local startups and from local businesses who are very much growing at a local level.
I think the thing is, in the country as a whole, we've a lot of background from multinationals coming into the country in the like of IT and that. So there's a skills base in the various IT and pharma sectors. And if we can create the incubator centres to allow those skill bases develop their own industries, at the end of the day, if you have a local business, it has a much bigger multiplier in the local economy than the like of a multinational coming in. And it is probably that little bit harder to attract multinationals into the Northwest region by the peripheral nature of it. And I think that is one of our challenges. But I do think if you look at the renewable energy drive, renewable energy wave, and I know both Sligo and indeed to some degree Letterkenny as well have had a focus on this. I think it has a massive potential to rebalance the economic drivers. Like, as we currently stand, Dublin is like an economic magnet. Everything points towards Dublin. And the potential of the like of offshore wind or renewables in the regions and the potential of remote working can change all that fundamentally. And I think that the change landscape of potential for people to work remotely, while it may have slipped a little bit post-COVID, I think in the longer term, with broadband and and it's something we need to push forward with the rollout of the national broadband plan needs to happen as quickly as possible. But with the potential of, let's say, renewables, particularly potential of offshore wind off the west coast, and the change in work dynamic means there's every reason why the opportunities can be in the northwest. And as you rightly say, I think a focus on small SMEs and local startups will have a bigger impact in the local economy than perhaps trying to attract in multinationals.
And you have anticipated my next question there, because it was very much to do with that National Broadband Plan rollout, because it seems to me if you were to look at the areas yet to be covered by the National Broadband Plan, I suspect those areas would be Donegal, Mayo, Galway, Roscommon, Leitrim, Sligo, Monaghan, the exact same areas that are now finding themselves being downgraded as a lagging region. And I think it would appear that deficiencies in infrastructure, and particularly in the IT and broadband infrastructure, are going to be playing into that. We haven't seen as much focus in the past couple of years on the road network and the need for better road links and rail and so on. Largely, I suspect, because of the growth in remote working, that's taking some of the emphasis away from that whole infrastructure discussion, but it's by no means off the table. But I think the broadband issue is an important one, and I would be very, very surprised if there wasn't a close correlation between the regions affected by this downgrading and the regions least served by the NDP at the moment.
Certainly, I think the priority has to be to look at these regions within. I suppose you have to understand that the National Broadband Plan is an enormous body of work to deliver. It's 2.5 billion, and it's predicted, I think they're a sixth of the way through at this stage, which is, given the scale of what it is, as people liken it to the equivalent of electrification of rural Ireland. And it is going to take a certain amount of time, perhaps 3 to 4 to 5 years. But it is progressing, I think, ahead of schedule at the moment. So that's a positive. There's 1 in 6 houses connected on it. But definitely we need to prioritise that region. But also, the infrastructure of the future is broadband. The infrastructure of the future also is electrical grid. So the like of those infrastructures are just as important, or nearly more important, than transport at this stage. Like, if you look at transport at European level, there's a 10T policy. But now they're developing a 10E policy, which is the equivalent for electricity network, and I think, or energy network. I think we need to focus on that, because that could be a key one for the Northwest. But as you say, if we want to deliver those jobs in local small communities where people left and traditionally went to Dublin or went abroad to get those jobs, them jobs can be delivered at home now, and the multiplier of those people living in the local economy is so important. But the critical point to making that happen is broadband. And I suppose, to be fair to the National Broadband Plan, it was a big strategic investment. It's going to take a number of years. But I think when you look at the 2.5 billion, at the time it seemed a lot of money. But when you see what inflationary pressures are there at the minute, it's probably, and you see the benefit of it in the context of COVID, it probably was a very shrewd and appropriate action to take at the time. The thing is, we have to roll it out as quickly as possible.
And should it be the case, you spoke earlier about the need for positive discrimination, should it be the case now that those in charge of administering and implementing that plan sit down and look and say, okay, well, these are the areas that are lagging behind, these are the areas we need to prioritise, and if necessary, rejig our plan schedules to make sure that we deliver that infrastructure where it's needed and we deliver it there as quickly as possible?
I think it's just one of a number of areas that could be looked at for positive discrimination, because at the end of the day, the region has a status for region, so that it can be, if you like, brought up or lifted up to the level of everywhere else. And that sort of notion of a positive discrimination, broadband is a classic example where you could make a meaningful difference in that. And I do think the energy network is important as well. But certainly, I for one would think it would be a game changer to think that region, like, if you're within commuting belt distance of Dublin, your opportunity for job is not necessarily impacted by you having to commute. If you're in Letterkenny or Sligo or Killybegs or wherever it might be, you can't commute to a job in Dublin. So the need for broadband in the regions is more than the need is for closer to Dublin.
Colin Markey, Fine Gael MEP, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning, and we'll keep an eye on this one with interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fine Gael MEP Colin Markey there, a member of the EPP group in the European Parliament, and that's on foot of that news that the North and West of Ireland have been downgraded to that of lagging region by the European Commission after becoming significantly poorer relative to the European average. That's a report that appeared in yesterday's Sunday Business Post. The GDP per head of population falling from 82% of the EU average between 2015 and 2017 to an estimated 71% now. And just to repeat, the counties that are covered in that lagging are Donegal, Mayo, Galway, Roscommon, Leitrim, Sligo and Monaghan. Very much the west and northwest closest to the border region. A couple of your comments that have come in. A refugee is supposed to seek asylum in the first safe country they arrive in. There is no direct route from Ukraine to Ireland by car ferry. Therefore, people who have cars with them are not refugees, just economic migrants. There is nothing wrong with seeking a better life for yourself, but corrective visas and procedures should be followed, and they're not being implemented at all at the moment, so says a caller. Caller says, fascinating stories above on the modest man William Campbell. I only hope they detail his activities like they did with another famous person from there. Melton was also home to Dave Gallagher, the original All Black captain, who emigrated to New Zealand at 4. Also home to TV chef and restaurateur Gary O'Hanlon. It's believed he learned his trade in Steve's Cafe. Not bad for one small town, so says Kevin. And indeed, when I was interviewing Mick Geaver there earlier on Zoom about the forthcoming unveiling of that statue of Bill Campbell, we did both reflect the fact that Ramelton does have a history of acknowledging its own sons and daughters. We were immigrants, yes, but we never got social welfare or housing. Can't compare, so stop. If we have Ukrainian vehicles here, how many safe countries did they drive through to get the best handouts? So asks the caller. So now we can expect 60,000 Russian asylum seekers here who are fleeing conscription. So says the caller. That's on foot of a comment from a caller earlier who was suggesting that we should be equally offering asylum to those who are fleeing Russia because they don't want to be conscripted into an army. Another caller says, I closed an Ulster Bank account a couple of months ago on the app in the section that says request account closure. Took my money out. I literally left a few euro because I had watched Conor Pope on the 6 o'clock news say to leave some in for the charges that would be incurred to close the account, admin fees, etc. The request went through, but I hadn't left enough. I was 274 short, but the bank texted to say account closure accepted. Never looked for what I was short, so I'm assuming my credit rating isn't affected. And we're getting quite a lot of communication actually from people who have been trying to close accounts with Ulster Bank, and these interesting perspectives coming through from it. If you're in the process of doing that at the moment, we wish you well. Let's take a very short break and be with you after these.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunансgadraw.com or any club member.
The young bakers are trying to make our Brennan's family pan and Be Good go viral on something called TikTok, says old Mr. Brennan. Viral TikTok, says I. I knew a fella who suffered from that. No way, says he. Ah, yeah, but he didn't make a song and dance about it. Although, says he, one thing worth making noise about is that anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread today.
Experience the best of Oma's rich musical heritage through a weekend of music and events from Thursday 29th of September until Sunday the 2nd of October. Enjoy Oma Music Thrill, exhibition voices and stories from the show band era and Oma's trad folk. On Saturday 1st of October, presenting Oma Show Bands is Highland Radio's Frank Galligan. You'll hear authentic show band sounds from Dominic Kerwin and his band, Ray Moore, Frankie McBride, the Call Brothers, Tony Hutchinson and more. All complimented by a vintage tea dance on Sunday. For more tickets and details, log on on to strualartcentre.co.uk.
Happy news from Aldi. We've topped the leaderboard at the National Parenting Product Awards with 22 wins, making us the most awarded retailer. There were golds for our organic Mamia baby food range, Mamia Ultra Dry Junior Plus nappies size 5 plus, and Mamia Premium Newborn Mini size 2 nappies voted the nation's best nappies by parents in Ireland. So, Mum and Dad, not using Mamia nappies yet? Whew, could be time for a change. Aldi, every day amazing.
At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, the wait is over. Production is back. Now your plans can really begin. Whether that's scaling your business or smartening your service offering, with HP Finance from 3.9%, purchase contributions of up to €3,000 and service plans from €12.99 per month, don't wait. Secure your next Caddy Cargo, Transporter 6.1 or Crafter at your local Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. Be ready to really deliver. Offers for business customers only. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply.
Call into Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny today or visit connellys.ie to book a test drive. If you're in business and you need to accept card payments, An Post offer the best value in card payment solutions, saving Irish businesses on average 25% on current costs. It's fast and easy to set up or switch. Your money hits your account the next day. Call An Post on 1-800-300-150 or email cardpayments@anpost.ie and start accepting card payments today. Join the Highland Roadshow from 11:30 until 2 this Thursday, September 29th, as we team up with Bus Éireann to celebrate their Customer Day at the Letterkenny bus station. We have a cracking music mix and some great merchandise to give away on the day. That's the Highland Roadshow this Thursday morning from 11:30 at the Letterkenny bus station.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband for just €29 a month, plus Sky Q for only €10 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband for €29 a month, plus Sky Q for €10 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
Nutrius Winter Beef Feed offer, directly supported by the Arrivo Fodder Support Fund, is now available at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP or Nutrius Max Maize Mix, get one free. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
When it comes to herding up the latest news, views and reviews on farming in Ireland, nobody does it like the Farming Independent. Chasing down key stories, trends and topics from the ever-changing world of farming and agri in Ireland. So pick up the Farming Independent every Tuesday and get the lay of the land. Up close and independent.
The Donegal Pedigree Cheviot Ram and Yo sale takes place on Wednesday the 28th of September in Stranorlar Mart. Show at 5 and sale at 7. This ad is sponsored by BizPrint Letterkenny, making printing easy and affordable.
That's Ceolan Fibra from their first album, which was called Soundings. And as I've said before when I've played Arcana, if you have had or have children in school in Letterkenny, chances are at some point they have been or will be taught by members of that group. Wonderful, wonderful musicians and great people as well. Now, just been told there's an oil spill on the main St Johnson Balnalecki Road between Castletown and Transala. So if you're travelling there on the St Johnson Balnalecki Road between Castletown and Transala, there's been an oil spill, and please do take care. Now, let's go to a gentleman who is always a welcome guest on the 9 till Noon show and in many other places as well. Francis Brennan, good morning.
How are you, Donal? Good to hear you. I was just listening to the end of that song on Diddly Eye, Diddly Eye. You want to get your words right now.
Oh, you would absolutely. Oh, it's a lot more complicated than you might think to sing that, because I tried singing it once.
I was listening to it. I thought, God, they're great linguists, those guys and girls, whoever.
Totally,
it was very complicated.
They absolutely are. Francis, I'm holding in my hand, and I'm going to hold it up because we are, obviously, for those watching on Facebook, they can see the book that I'm holding up. The Homekeeper's Diary for 2023. It's the first diary I've seen for next year, to be honest. And I have to say, the competition is going to have to come up with something special to match this, because this is a very nice looking book.
Yeah. No, it is a very nice production. It's our third year doing it now, just to tell you. So you missed the last 2 years, Donal. But anyway, not to worry. And what's ideal about it is it's a book. It has 7 days. When you open the pages, on the left-hand side, there's some diddly eye stuff like the guys were singing before, or a recipe or a poem or something. And then on the right-hand side, you have 7 days looking at you. So on Monday morning, you can look at the book, your diary, and see that the dentist on Tuesday, the doctor on Wednesday, Irish dancing on Thursday, and pick up the kids on Friday, or whatever. So it's a very handy thing to keep on the kitchen table and on the hall table.
And some nice bon mots and bits of advice and bits of perspective and but bits of Irish culture as well, sort of talking about the importance of animals and the importance of plants and vegetation and the importance of days like St Bridget's Day and so on. So hooking into the tradition and hooking into, you've got a nice little mix there of the traditions of Ireland plus then the little practical advice as well. Now might be a good time to start spring cleaning, and here's something you might do to get that nasty stain out.
Well, it's a pointer for you, on let's say on the 5th of November or the 15th of November, whatever, I tell you it's time to make your plum puddings, because people kind of say, I must. So when they see it written down, then it kind of focuses their mind and they're kind of thinking, we must get to that. So in that sense, it's not just like a diary for the doctor's appointment or anything. It's a diary to keep you on the straight and narrow as well.
Yeah. As you say, it is the third year of the publication. It's always been a popular one. And I suppose the name Francis Brennan always has carried some cachet when it comes to homemaking and homekeeping. And dare I say it, when it comes to having a little bit of style, a little bit of elan, a little bit of dash in your home, no better person than yourself to go to.
Yeah, well, I don't know where that comes from, but and I don't even know I have it, but it seems that people think I have it anyway. So that's grand. We'll move along with that. But I always like to dress properly, and I always like to have nice things, and I like flowers and things like that. So I suppose in one sense, that's just me, and I just portray myself.
But the important thing, Francis, from your point of view, is you're so able to communicate that to other people, and it's coming through in this diary just as it does through other media as well.
Oh yeah, well sure. Somebody said to me a long time ago, "How is it you always make people happy?" Well, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. I'm just me, and sure, if I'm me and I make people happy, isn't that even brilliant? That's even better still. And I suppose I did pick an industry where you do make people happy. Hotels are generally places where people come for weddings or christenings or whatever it might be. So there's always a bit of excitement attached to them, and so if you can contribute to that and make people happy, isn't that brilliant?
Now, there is a serious element to this as well, because you did sit back and you did make an assessment of your own impact on the planet and asked yourself what you can do personally to ease the pressure on the planet and to reduce your own carbon footprint and so on and so forth. And what you learned from that assessment very much comes through in this book as well.
Yeah. Well, I moved house now as well this year. Like in January, I moved. I'm talking to you now from Kenmare. I have a 2-bedroom apartment here, and we have apartments at the hotel grounds, and I moved in here in January. And there was a big assessment then as to what you do or don't after living in a house of 5 bedrooms for 32 years, and you're moving to a 2-bedroom apartment. There's a big change to make. So I had a great friend of mine came down from Dublin, Frank Dowling, and he took no punches, absolutely none. It was like, you want it, yes or no, out. You want it, yes or no, out. So We ended up with a pile to keep, a pile out, and a pile for the charity shop or whatever. And we ended up, we managed well. I am a little over now, Donal, on the wardrobe side. I am in the spare bedroom now, which is closed in the wardrobe, which is bold, I suppose. But anyway, we might get to that during this year when we get everything else. I only have shelves to put up. That's the last thing I have to do here. I have some shelves to go up, and then I'll be able to sort of say I'm in 100%, and then I might look at the spare wardrobe and see will I move it along or not.
And when it comes to those bibs and bobs to get the house or get the apartment or whatever it is to your taste, the diary is full of little handy tips, things like, how to clean a smelly dishwasher, how to patch up a piece of broken plaster or whatever, stuff that the rest of us mightn't really know what to do, and we might be sort of taking vague tries at pouring something into it to see what happens. You have some very focused tips here.
Yeah. They're very simple. Like I had those. I did do a housekeeping book earlier in my career as developer, and I had all of those tips about baking soda, bicarbonate soda, vinegar, lemons. I mean, to clean your dishwasher, you don't need a chemical anything. All right. All you need to do is once a month take half a lemon, put it into the dishwasher, turn on your dishwasher with just the lemon, and all of a sudden it cleans everything in sight. Likewise, your microwave. If you put half a lemon into a little bowl, drop of water, stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then the microwave gets all condensed, and all you have to do is to dry it out with a bit of kitchen towel or some tissue, and then it just keeps it. And if you do it regularly, it just keeps the whole thing ahead of itself, and it keeps itself clean. So you don't need a pile of chemicals, which is what the world doesn't need today to be doing things in the kitchen. You can use natural products as easy as not. And vinegar, of course, is a brilliant. You're cleaning windows, a little drop of fairy liquid and vinegar, and you have the shiniest windows you'll ever have.
And
so they're all little tips.
And the great thing, of course, of having this in a diary is that you can sort of spread out these tips, so people will be going through the diary and say, oh yeah, I must do that today, I must do that today, I must do that today. So it isn't as though it's just being one huge pile of tips on one page. It's nicely paced all the way through.
It's a prodder. It comes at you in June, it comes at you in August. You know what I mean? So in that sense. And then at the beginning of the book, we have a couple of pages there where we talk about weights and measures and liquids and litres and all that. Because, oftentimes nowadays, especially with the internet, you can pick up a recipe that has an American wording, and you don't know what 2 cups of flour are. So we show you the equivalent of 2 cups of flour and things like that. So it's a very handy thing to have in the kitchen if you're baking, or anything that you can refer to the actual weights and measures of our style rather than America.
Yeah, I mean, it's a diary and it has everything you would expect a diary to have, and so much more besides. I'm sure it'll be a bestseller again. Francis Brennan, thanks indeed for speaking to us today.
All right, Donal, thanks very much. Hello to everybody in Northwest.
And hello to you. Thank you very much indeed. That's Francis Brennan there, the author of the Homekeeper's Diary 2023, and a very nice looking presentation. It is too available, as they say, in all good bookshops. Let's look at your comments before we go for a break. The east and west is the second border in this country. You only have to open your eyes to see it. Killybegs has the capacity to do cargo if only there was proper investment in it, so says a caller. Does anyone know when the Ulster Bank in Letterkenny branch will close down, specifically the ATM? A caller is asking. Now, I do know that they were talking about, from memory, 6th of October. They were talking about sort of closing off accounts. Now, I don't have a date in front of me. I know certainly the first week in October is a key date from the bank's point of view, and it could well be that we'll see that shut down next week or the week after. I would assume it's going to be next week, and work on that basis. Caller saying, if you have sterling, what can you do with it without being charged huge fees to get it changed over when the shops will no longer take it? Now, my understanding is most shops will still take sterling, and you always have the opportunity of going across the border as well. I mean, it is still, sterling is still a major world currency, and it still has value, and it still is a currency that is usable in shops, and can be changed in banks. The sterling you have now may be worth less than it was worth 6 months ago. That's absolutely, but that's always the case with currency, and that's the risk you take, I suppose, when you hold on to it. Another caller says the US dollar is strong because it's the petrodollar. If oil suppliers decided to refuse using the dollar, it would collapse overnight, so says a caller. It's just gone 11:45. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
Paul Claffey Tours are delighted to announce that we're heading back to sunny Spain for a second week in June 2023, and once again staying at the luxury Brosa Hotel Complex, Cadiz, Spain from June 15th to 22nd. Joining Paul for this unforgettable week will be some of Ireland's best love entertainers, Michael English and his band, and many friends including Brendan Shine, Dominic Kerwin, John McNichol, Jerry Guthrie, Jim Devine, John Hogan, the Stephen Smith Band, The Conquerors, John Wilson, John Malloy and more. The price is only €1,079 half board plus tax and insurance. Call 01685 2244 or see paulclaffeytours.com, and don't miss the holiday of a lifetime.
This week at Super Value, we've got amazing offers to help you save, like Super Value Fresh Irish Round Roast, now half price. Selected goodies like Haribo, Tato and Lions biscuits, any 4 for €4. And don't forget, with Super Value's unbeatable own brand range, along with money off vouchers every week, Super Value makes saving money as easy as
1, 2, 3, go!
Enjoy a great value breakfast any day until 2 at Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny. Every Saturday at Kelly's, it's Steak Madness with a succulent 8-ounce steak and all the trimmings for just €12. On Fridays, from 3, all deluxe burgers with chips and a soft drink are only $15.95. For endless choice and value, pull into Kelly's Diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers receiving social welfare payments, like pensions, child benefit, carers or disability allowances, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. Switch online in any branch or call our customer service team on 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Right, lots of talk on the programme this morning about Ulster Bank and issues with the closure of accounts and so on. Now, you may have just heard in the ad that was on during that ad break that it's the 8th of October is the date after which Ulster Bank accounts will no longer function. Now, what impact that has on the branch or on ATMs, I do not have that clarified in front of me, but certainly, as I said, that's the date they're looking at. It's the 8th of October, which, unless I'm very much mistaken, is next Saturday week, is the 8th of October. So after that, accounts will effectively become inoperative. So if you still have an outstanding account, or you still have work to do to move your account from Ulster Bank to elsewhere, really it's time to start looking at that. Let's talk about a very important sponsored walk that's about to take place. The St. Luke's Walkers will spend 3 days walking on the remote and rugged Inishowen Peninsula in October. They're set to raise €1,500 to take part, all-inclusive 4 nights accommodation in Malin Head, Buncrana, and beautiful beaches on the Wild Atlantic Way, and that's coming up next week. I'm joined on the line by one of those who is coming up, and that's Geraldine Stafford of the Friends of St. Luke's. Geraldine, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Nice to speak to you.
And good to speak to you too. So the 1500 and all that's been done, a group of people coming up to Inishowen to walk for 3 days, the Friends of St. Luke's, and you're inviting local people to join you for some or all of that walk.
Yes, if they would like to come along, they're more than welcome. Donegal people have been very, very good to the Friends of St. Luke's over the years, supporting us here in St. Luke's with everything we do here in the hospital and our 3 units. So, as I said, everyone is welcome.
And indeed, many, many people have gone through St. Luke's from Donegal. One of them is a former councillor in the Inishowen area, Mickey Doherty. Mickey, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you? Good morning, Geraldine.
Hi, Mick. How are you?
I'm grand, thank you.
That's good to know. Mickey, you had occasion, as many have indeed, to use St. Luke's. You spent 7 weeks there, and no one knows better than yourself how important St. Luke's is to Donegal.
Well, St. Luke's is very, very important to Donegal, and especially probably to my own family, because prior to me being there, my two elder brothers were there, Dennis and Alton, also. And we all had the same treatment, only I think mine was actually better because it was like a holiday for me. It was fantastic because I was on the council at the time and I had my laptop with me and I was still able to do my work there, and I was treated like a lord. I'm not joking. It was fantastic, and I couldn't be thankful enough to each and every member of staff at St. Luke's and the way we were treated. And probably the success of us being there was actually more important again. A lady there who I hope is coming up with Geraldine as Bernie, who was the manager of the lodge, which too many people from Inishowen are very familiar with the lodge. Now, the lodge was the accommodation which was supported big time by the Friends of St. Luke's, and made it possible for patients to stay there, and sometimes if there was room, even friends, somebody supporting a patient could have even stayed along them. It was just out of this world, and the transport that was laid on from Letterkenny Hospital to St. Luke's was out of this world. It was supplied by Gallagher coaches from Letterkenny. Fantastic team, fantastic drivers, excellent comfort, and it was just a joy to be there.
And you've made the point, Mickey, that during your 7 weeks in St. Luke's, you encountered 13 other people from the Inishowen Peninsula.
13, yes, on the canteen alone. That was only what was staying in the lodge.
In the lodge.
I mean, there was others. There was others also, full-time patients in the hospital also, like, you know, and sadly to this day, quite a few of those that I had known had passed away, but there's still a lot of them about, thanks to the treatment and help they got from St. Luke's.
And Geraldine. Sorry, Mickey. I just want to go back to Geraldine for a minute, because Geraldine, it's clear from what Mickey is saying that St. Luke's and what it offers in terms of, and let's be honest, the comfort's important, because when you have someone who is undergoing treatment for a cancer, you need them to be in as positive a situation as possible, both in terms of their physical health and their mental health. And there is no doubt about it that from what Mickey is saying, the facilities and the services provided at St. Luke's itself, and also through the lodge and through the accommodation, ensure that patients are best placed to fully take and fully benefit from the treatment that's on offer there.
Absolutely, Donal. And, you know, we can provide this purely just from all the funds that have been raised from former patients or from people all around the country. I mean, our lodge is fantastic at the moment. We have 52 rooms in it, and they're all ensuite bedrooms. And it means that the patient can come up to the lodge, have their treatment from Monday to Friday, and go home at weekends. And that room is kept available for them for the 7 weeks. And as I said, Mick will be happy to know that Bernie is coming up on the walk to Donegal. She was managing the lodge, and it really is a fantastic facility and used constantly. So as I said, all our fundraising goes into projects like this within the hospital, within St. Luke's.
Yeah. And if people wish to join you up here, you're just asking them to come along and make a donation. No need for people to get sponsorship forms or anything like that. Just come along, make a donation and join you.
Yeah, no sponsorship forms needed whatsoever. We'd love to meet people, and we'd love them to come along and walk with us. And you know, kind of it would make our walk, you know, very special. As I said, this is the first walk we've had in Ireland, and the reason being that we're going to Donegal is really because of Mickey. He's just a fantastic person, and as I said, when people that came away with me every year, they asked me, would I do something in Ireland? Well, the first place I thought about was Donegal, and we're really looking forward to it.
Can you very briefly just give us an indication of where and when you're walking? Because you've got Mallinhead, you've got Dunree, you've got wonderful cliff walks, beaches, all the way around the Inishowen Peninsula.
And we're walking around Buncrana as well. And then on our third day walking, we're walking from the hotel and we're going along the beach, and we're going to end up at the Famine Village. So, as I said, there'll be special walks and very, very nice.
And if people wish to take part, you're asking them to pay a €10.
They can contact Nick, or we're staying in the Ballyliffin. Donal, we're staying in the Ballyliffin Strand Hotel. So if somebody wants to come along and meet us there, they're more than welcome.
And this is all starting on October 3rd, which is
we're travelling up on October
next Sunday, isn't it? Or
next Monday.
Next
Monday.
This day week. Yeah.
We're travelling from St. Luke's here. By minibus up to Ballyliffin, and then we'll walk on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll return on the Friday.
Geraldine, we wish you all the best with the venture, and Mickey, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us as well.
Donal.
Yep.
Donal.
Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Donal, if I could just stress the point that I would like to see a good turnout of people to come to welcome these people for all the goods they've done for Donegal and for Inishowen in particular.
Absolutely.
And there's a wee shindig on the 5th, which is the Thursday night. No, sorry, the 6th, the Thursday night. There's a wee shindig on for them, and I would love people to come along and show their appreciation. There's no charge to get in. There'll be a bucket at the door if anybody wants to give, but anybody's welcome. And Eamon and Liam Cutcliffe, two brothers, and a lot of people will be familiar with them, are playing along with two accomplices from America, plus John McJogan and Albert Cunningham. So it'll be a good wee night.
It will indeed. And no better people than the people in the show to organise a shindig. Mickey, Geraldine, thank you both very much indeed. We look forward to that event with great interest. Thank you both indeed. That's Geraldine and Mickey Doherty, their former councillor, of course, here in Donegal. That's where the show comes to an end. Final comment, I got my ESB bill 2 weeks ago for 2 months, €628. I nearly fell off the chair. I'll be paying that off until the next one comes. I've actually had to cancel a night away because I can't justify the price of a night away because of the cost of my bill. That's Highland Radio News. Thank you to everyone who got involved. Thanks to Donna Marie, who was on the phones outside, and Caroline, who produced. Thanks to all of you for listening and for contributing. And for myself, Donal Kavanagh, have a very good day.
If you're pregnant, it's time to boost your protection from COVID-19. Protection from previous vaccines or from COVID-19 infection decreases over time. Your next vaccine will help protect you and your baby from serious illness in the months ahead. For information or to book an appointment at a HSC vaccination centre, visit hsc.ie. Call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700 or contact a participating GP or pharmacy. From the HSC, for us all.
Whether you're travelling for business or leisure, fly local and choose City of Derry